right, we are live. We are live. What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the True Savers Show. We got a special guest with us today. Um, you want me to call you a real name? Introduce you as your real name, sir?
I mean, if you want to, but
Okay. Well, we all know him. We all should know him as DJ Khalif of the Magnificent Seven. All right. Um, Brother has some great information. He came into contact through another brother that I know, and I read some of his bio. And he also has an interview on Norm Rad, full of wealth of information. He's going to answer a lot of questions that has to deal with the origin story of hip hop and the truth of the matter. So we're going to really dive into a lot of stuff. There's so much to cover. I don't know how long this is going to be. It might be a long one because there's a lot to cover. So without any further ado, before I introduce my brother here, let me say a shout out to the chat. Welcome, guys, for coming and chiming in. I'm China Black. Appreciate you always. H. Rich, I know you in the background doing your thing. Derek Flows or Floats, I appreciate you. Greetings to you. And anybody else who's coming in the chat, welcome, and I appreciate all of you. JG, thank you, brother. Okay, without any further ado, let me welcome to the platform my brother, my new brother, DJ Khalif of the Magnificent Seven. How you doing, brother?
All right. It's Caliph 09, DJ Caliph 09.
Caliph 09.
Name me Caliph. I got that name from Bambaataa.
From Bambaataa, okay.
But my crew, the Magnificent Seven, they put the 09 on there.
Oh, and what was the 09 for?
I really don't even know. To be honest with you, I mean, I never could find out. That's the ironic thing. But they just, they threw it. I guess it sounded cool. I don't know, man. I mean, maybe it helped the MCs when they were doing the rhyme thing, and they was giving a shout out, and they was Caliph 09. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, let's get started. Let's introduce yourself and tell me about where you were born, what part of the Bronx you were brought up, all of that, how old you are, all of that stuff. Let's get the background of this, information out first, and we can dive into the rest of it.
All right. Well, my real name is Robert Gunny.
Yes.
And AKA DJ Caliph 09. I was born in the Bronx. I was born on let me see. I think the west side of the Bronx. I was born in it was called the old Morris Senior Hospital. It's over there on 167th Street, right behind the Fever, where the Fever is at and all that stuff.
Okay.
It's not there anymore. I'm 63 years old. I was born in 1962. Grew up in the Bronx. Started out on Tiffany Street. And the thing about Tiffany Street in the South Bronx, I lived with my grandmother for like the first 7 years of my life. And the ironic thing about Tiffany Street is, this is a crazy thing, a story that you're not going to believe, but I come off of Tiffany Street. Stevie Steve comes off of Tiffany Street. Mean Gene comes off Tiffany Street. Theodore comes off Tiffany Street. Cody comes off Tiffany Street. Disco B comes off Tiffany Street. We all lived on the same. We all lived on the same block, different buildings and everything. Shotgun Rob, which is my cousin, and Midnight Chauncey's my cousin also, and Little Shotgun. We all come off Tiffany Street. That's the ironic thing about it. And all of us is, involved in this thing in one way, shape, or form, or fashion. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. That's what I found you when I listened to your or read your interview. I was saying, wow, I mean, a lot of familiar names, just come out and they're recognizable. And that's why I said, I got to have this brother. And I was so glad that my other brothers recommended, me having a conversation with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it too, man, because I would love to get up here and just give the knowledge, because what happens is there's a lot of you just get a lot of things being said in this thing. And it seems to me, just sitting back watching, I've sat back and I listened to a lot of things are being said and a lot of interviews and stories, and a lot of stuff just isn't accurate. And I'm more of a truth person. I would like to be more accurate and more authentic and more to the truth. I don't mean to offend anybody, and I hope nobody takes offense by anything that I say, but anything I'm saying is just the truth. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And the funny thing that you said earlier, right, about all the names and all this other stuff, I just happen to be one of those people who was at the right place at the right time a lot of times. And I never expected anything to come about as a result of that or anything like that to where it is today. You understand what I'm saying? Where I know these people like that and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was just, it wasn't like done on purpose. It was just me and my daily day to day and how I used to move back in the days. I would always be around certain people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Around, you know, these people. You know, I always rounded up around them.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know brother DJ Shaft?
Yeah, Chef.
Okay, he wants to come up, but I really want to talk to you first. But if you want him to come up,
well,
I mean, I just want to make sure you know him because I remember the name.
He's my backup DJ. You know, and
okay,
there's me, Steve, and Shaft with the 3 DJs.
Right. I remember reading the name.
Yeah,
brother.
Let me introduce the crew first, so that you could be familiar in case somebody else pops up and whatever, right? So, we the Magnificent Seven. So now people may get confused because there's another crew from Harlem called the Magnificent Seven, and there's a story behind that also. We battled those guys. We battled those guys back in the summer.
Hold on, brother. Hold on for a second.
Hold on for a minute, Shaft. Let me finish.
I don't want to. Hold on, my bad. I didn't even know I was being heard.
All right. So we battled this other Magnificent Seven. So I don't want the people to get confused. So now our Magnificent Seven consists of the Magnificent DJ Stevie Steve, myself, Khalif 09, DJ Shaft, Rodney C. He was Little Rodney C at the time, Little Shotgun, Davy Dave, and Jazzy Jeff. Both Rodney C and Jazzy Jeff, y'all may know from the Funky 4+1 More.
Right.
But they were down with us first.
Right.
They were down with us. I'll get to that story a little later on.
Yeah.
Kevy Kev was like our manager. Kevy Kev was our manager. Yeah, Shaft was like one of the DJs in the crew. That's my brother in the crew in this, you know. So we would have, Magnificent Seven. We started out in the Bronx. So I guess I might as well get into the battle thing right now then too.
Okay, all right.
The Harlem Magnificent Seven, that's Johnny Warr, Ray Vaughn and those guys, DJ Spivey and them. What happened was Steve was working downtown with his brother. His brother used to be a manager at a messenger service. And the dude, DJ Spivey, was working down there too. So DJ Spivey and Stevie Steve wound up having a conversation, and Spivey was telling him that he was a DJ and that his crew was called the Magnificent Seven. And Steve was like, nah, you can't use that name. We the Magnificent Seven.
Right.
And so long story short, it turned into a battle. Right. So what happened was they lived down in the Clinton houses, down by the Clinton houses, down on between 116th and 110th Street down there in Harlem. And there was this place that's called the Theater Arts Center. It was like a rec center. And I had to sneak in a window to get in there to open up the door so we could go in and stuff like that there. You know, ain't no statute of limitations. So, I mean, you know, it's over with now. So, you know, we went in there and we had a battle that night, you know, us against the Harlem Magnificent Seven. We trounced them. We at the end of the battle, and I tell you this is truth, and that's people that may have been at that battle could tell you, you know, at the end of the battle, people were screaming our name, Stevie, Steve, Stevie, Steve. And then you know, Spivey and them, they was looking at Steve on the turntables like this, like they couldn't believe what they were seeing because they couldn't believe, you know, that he was spinning like that, you know?
Right.
You know?
So yeah, what constitutes the winning? What would be the thing that would constitute winning?
Okay, in this particular instance, the crowd, you know, crowd participation. Because okay, say like if you was at Showtime at the Apollo, right? And you know, like the guy would hold his hand and say, "Did this person win?" And the crowd would applaud, and then they put it over these people and say, and then whoever got the loudest applaud was the winner. So in this case, right, winning was whoever took the crowd,
right?
Whoever, you know, took the crowd. When we down in their home, in their house, and we got their people screaming our name, I can pretty much say we won that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But now here's the ironic thing, right? Because After the battle, they continued. They were supposed to now they're tenants to a battle. Now back in the days, there were tenants. If you lost a battle, you could lose. We could take your whole system. If we battled you and say, "Yo, we're gonna take your system," if you lose, you would have to give that up. You know what I mean? For the battle. But in this particular case, we said y'all got to change your name. Can't call yourself the Magnificent Seven no more. So they agreed right before the battle, but now after the battle, we find out they still continuing to use the name. So what happened was we wound up going back down there and battling them again and troused them again. You know what I mean? For the second time. So what they did was they started calling themselves the Harlem Magnificent Seven. So you know,
I got you.
A little change to it, but you know.
Okay. So let me get to the nit and gritty of this whole controversy that's surrounding hip hop and the origin story of hip hop.
Okay.
Would you say, in your opinion, that hip hop origins lie in Black American culture, or would you say, it's a multicultural creation?
I would say later on it became that, but in the beginning, I would say absolutely it was a foundational Black American thing. Created totally and completely, 100%.
And because you're there, so this is why I'm going to dive into this. What constitutes it as foundational? Why would you say, let's say, for example, the dance, the music, let's see, DJing. What was it about those art forms that told you that was foundational Black American culture?
Okay. Number one, it would have to be the music. We can start with the music, right? Most of the music that was being played at the jams, you had the James Browns, right? You had Roy Ayers, you know, a lot of the Black music. Even, I mean, you had Dennis Coffey, you had Michael Viner, you know what I'm saying? You had Aerosmith, you know what I'm saying? But mostly, majority of the music was Black music. The OJs, I mean, you know, we played, Sly and the Family Stone, you name it. I mean, you know, it was all Black music. I'm trying to think of all the records. It's not all coming to me. Yo, Shaft, help me out here, man.
Oh, let me turn them up. Hold up. Okay, you go ahead, Brother Shaft, DJs. Welcome, brother. You there?
Yo, Shaft.
He must have left. No, he's still up, but he's not. I'll leave his mic on, and so when he wants to come up, he can.
All right. So basically, it was a lot of the Black music, you know, and you could find it in any household, any Black household. I mean, I'll Take You There, all those different songs, you know, anything that had a beat, we was playing it. You know what I'm saying? Now I heard FaZe on here talking about how it all started with the beat, the drum beat and all that stuff. Like, because anything with a beat, we was playing it. You know what I'm saying? Now that was one of my little things, right? My little quirks was I love beats. So I would go around and I was robbing families. I was raping their record collections. You know what I'm saying? Just taking records from here, from there, from everybody's record collection. Because you know, you grew up in a household, it was all the music that was being played in the house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you know, everybody had these records in the house. You know, It's crazy because you know, and to see how we took it and did what we did with it. You know what I mean? It's just, you know. Because I'm used to listening to it on my mother's stereo, you know what I'm saying? And everybody dancing and stuff like that there.
Okay, so when did you, now you talked about going to the jams and you said, what was the first jam that you went to? And what was it about that particular jam that inspired you?
Okay, so now that's the beginning story right there for me. Because see, okay, I was living on Tiffany Street. I told you that. So there's the schoolyard down the block. There's a schoolyard across the street, 150, right? But down the block there was another school. I can't think of the name of the school, but there was a little boxing gym. This is on Fox Street. And Flash and them used to play in this boxing gym a little later.
What year was that? What year would you say that was?
This the year that they were playing in there, or the year that this happened?
The thing that you're talking about right now, 75.
Yeah, I'm talking about is 75, the summer of 75, right?
Okay.
So behind this gym, the gym was 1111 Fox Street. And later on, Flash and them would go and play inside there. But this is the summer of 77. So they playing. See, back in the days, in the summertime, we played in the schoolyards. In the wintertime, we went inside.
Right.
Now, this Flash and them were playing in the schoolyard. And this is my first time ever going to any hip-hop party. I mean, not hip-hop, but we called it jam. They jamming, they DJing. You know what I mean? That's what we used to call it. Yo, they jamming, they DJing, they partying. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Would you go ahead? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, finish.
So, Steve came and Little Shotgun, who's my cousin, they came and got me, and they said, "Yo, we're gonna go down here to this party." So it was right down the block. So I was like, "Okay, yeah, you know." We all went to the party. When I got in there, I mean, the crowd, it was crazy, and then Flash was cutting. Now I'm trying to remember if the MCs were there. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I don't remember the MC, but I do remember Flash cutting. I remember Disco B was there, and I remember Mean Gene. They made the Mean Gene was there. And Flash put on Give It Up, Turn It Loose by James Brown, right? And when he said Clyde, everybody dropped to the floor. I'm talking about girls and dudes dropped to the floor and started breakdancing. And I had never seen nothing like it. So I was like, yo, what the f is this? I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But I was like, oh, yo, I was amazed by it. And then he put on records like Apache, right? And I Can't Stop by John Davis and the Monster Orchestra. And I mean, that bass coming out of them speakers and everything, I fell in love with it. So when we left that party, I told Steve and I told my cousin, yo, we're doing that. That's what we're going to do. You know, they looked at me, they was like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? But, you know, we wound it up, you know, that's when we started, you know, basically that's the beginning of the formulation of the Magnificent Seven.
Okay.
So that was the first party.
Okay, so what would you, in reference to the breaking that you first saw,
right?
What was it about it? You said, what was the significance of saying Clyde? What did that mean that made everybody go to the floor?
Well, in the record, James Brown, he's saying, clap your hands, stomp your feet, clap your hands, stomp your feet, and then it goes Clyde, and then Clyde Sutterfield starts playing the drums.
Okay.
And when Clyde Sutterfield's that drum break came in, everybody dropped to the floor and just started, you know, they were spinning, they were doing their kicking the legs and doing all that stuff. You know, I believe they were up rocking first, and then they just went down on the floor. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But that whole notion about we didn't go down on the floor, that is total nonsense. Total nonsense. This is in 75.
Right.
With this breakdancing thing that you need to understand. We didn't call it breakdancing, first of all.
What did you call it?
We called it b-boying and b-girling.
Okay.
That's what we called it, or breaking. You know, b-boying. But we called it b-boying.
Okay.
B-girling. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, gotcha.
They were the b-boys and the b-girls. Okay. So now, the whole notion about us not, you know, getting on the floor and all that stuff and not doing floor work, that's just total. Now I don't even know where that nonsense came from.
Okay.
We were doing this. Here's the thing with the whole b-boying thing, right? As we progressed in this, because if you don't know this, you may or may not know this. Mean Gene used to be a b-boy. Melly Mel was a b-boy. I don't know if you even know Mr. Ness, you know, Scorpio. Mr. Ness and Mr. Fuji was a b-boy team. You know, before he joined the Furious, and he was one of the last people to join the Furious, because it was used to be the Furious Three, and it was Mel, Danny, and Cowboy. Cowboy was Flash's first MC, and then Mel and Danny came on. They brothers. They came into the fold. What was I saying? So a lot of the dudes that are DJs and MCs used to be b-boys first.
Right.
What happened is, when we progressed into MCing and DJing, we stopped the b-boy thing. I was a b-boy. After that party, when I seen them, I started doing that. I started breaking. You know what I mean? It didn't last too long, but you know, because I you know, we started formulating the Magnificent Seven. So I ended up, you know, in that and becoming a DJ in the Magnificent Seven. So what I said, saying this to say this, when we stopped, we, you know, basically stopped breakdancing. And it got picked up later, but much later, years later, like 79 or something like that, when Planet Rock and Rap is the Light and all of that stuff came out, they kind of brought it back. Now,
You talk about the Puerto Ricans?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's when they brought it back and started,
because they definitely disagree with that timeline. But also, believe it or not, Cass also says 79, 80. So, but what their comeback will be is, well, they weren't everywhere in the Bronx, and so therefore, if you're not everywhere in the Bronx, you can't, realistically say it wasn't going on before this.
And you know what I say to that? Okay, because here we go with this right now. Listen to this. Okay, so now say a lot of dudes are gonna say, yeah, I was a DJ, you know what I'm saying? Back in the day, you know what I'm saying? Now, if you was a DJ, right, in your little building, right, and you in front of your building and only the people on your block know you, what difference does it make?
That's
bro?
Right. There
you go. You know, now if you're like the TBS crew or whatever it is, right? TBB crew, right? I've never heard of them. I never heard of them. I don't doubt that they exist, but I mean, maybe the people in their neighborhood know who they are, but like in the general scope of things, no. And I'm gonna tell you like this, man. We would do now. The Puerto Ricans, they were there, right? They were in the Bronx. They were in the Bronx.
Yes.
There's no question about that.
No question about that.
No question. They were in the Bronx.
Right.
They were definitely in the Bronx. But that's about it. They were in the Bronx. As far as this hip hop thing goes, that's about it.
Okay.
You know. Now I can tell you this. We were throwing a party one time in 63 Schoolyard, right? A couple of these guys came up, Spanish guys, and they were on the outside of the schoolyard. And now, if you're not familiar with 63, if you come right inside the schoolyard, we set up right there to your left. We set up right there. There was a lady on the first floor that used to run electricity through her house for us to do the parties, right? When we didn't, and then when she couldn't do it, we would do the lamp post thing. I don't know if you know about the lamp post.
Right.
We used to put our thing to the lamp post. You know what I'm saying? You take out the fuse and you put one of those. It used to be like it looks like a light bulb thing, but it has a plug on it, and you screw that in there, and then you plug your stuff into the plug parts. And so, long story short, the guys were hanging out on the fence, but they were hanging on the fence like this, right? Hanging on the outside. So I'm a DJ, I'm near, and I'm telling them, yo, come inside. It's free, man. Come inside. They was like, nope. They wouldn't come inside. You know what I mean? So they were not there. They were not a part of this. They didn't participate in this. The earliest I can think of, right? Anybody Spanish being involved with this they was invited in, and it was because Kaz, when he was DJ Casanova Fly, him and DJ Wiz was Hispanic. And DJ Wiz, and he brought Wiz into it. You understand?
Right.
That came a little later too, also, right? It definitely wasn't from the beginnings, the humble beginnings. And so, and then the who was it? Whipper Whip and Ruby D, they came later. They came later, much later anyway, because they were down with the Fantastic Romantic. That was Theodore's crew. Now, me and Theodore, we grew up together on Tiffany Street. We go from kindergarten to Morris High School.
Okay.
And we was in the Morris High School annex, right? And we was in the same class. And one day I came out the class. I had my radio with me. You know, I used to carry the boom box, and I had one of our practice tapes and stuff. And so Waterback Cav, Robbie Rob, his brother, and I think Whipper Whip and them was standing out there in the front of the school. So when we left from the annex, it's in the back. So we had to come around to the front of Morris High School. And they was there. And so I'm playing the tape, and then Waterback Cav said, yo, who's that? Yo, let me hear. So I'm letting him hear the tape, and Rodney C was rhyming at the time. And he was like, yo, he sounded like he got a frank in his mouth. And then he was like, yo, y'all want to battle? But at this particular time, right, I can't remember what year it was. It had to be 70, I would say 77, 78. And they weren't established yet. They were starting to formulate their crew. Now they might because Robbie Rob, I forgot what he called himself, Master Rob. I think he used to MC for somebody, but I'm talking about the Fantastic Romantic Five wasn't a crew quite yet. You understand what I'm saying? And the Cold Crush wasn't a crew quite yet either, because Kaz, he was still DJ Casanova Fly, and then I guess something happened with the Casanovas, and they, he wasn't able to use the name anymore, from what I'm understanding, and then that's why he changed his name, which was crazy because he started calling himself Grandmaster Kaz, and there was already a Grandmaster Flash, and that was kind of like, and you know, because back in the days we used to say, "Yo, you couldn't bite," like it was like the thing.
Right.
You couldn't bite somebody else's name, you know what I'm saying? So that was kind of, you know, and I was like, okay, but you know, if everybody was cool with it, I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? It was all good, you know. But that's what we used to call that biting back in the day.
Right. Yeah, I remember that term
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you about this. So if that so-called I guess truce, I'm not talking about the truce in 71. I'm talking about the one between Bambaataa and TBB that is often talked about in 77. Do you have any knowledge of that incident happening?
No, because you know what? Being in the Zulu, I started out in the Bronx River organization, right? And this is before the Zulu Nation. This is like, okay, because I could run down the whole history of how this whole thing came about. It came about, they killed, I think it was Peanut, and all the gangs in New York was going to go to war and all that stuff. You know about that truce.
Right.
And they went to the whole Avenue Boys Club, and they had a meeting and stuff, and then they stopped wearing the colors, and the city promised us city jobs and all that. And that's where the youth corps program came out of that. And, you know, so everybody stopped wearing colors and all of that stuff like that. So there was no more gangs, but then there was crews. And so the Bronx River organization came about as a result of that. And so I wound up being in the Bronx River organization. I had met Bam. It's kind of crazy because I met Bam through, like, it was really because my cousins and them were going over there first. And they were telling me about Bam and stuff. But I lived in Saquon because when my grandmother that I had lived with died, she died when I was 7 years old. So I had to move with my mom's. My mom's lived in Saquon, you know what I mean? Which is right across the street from Soundview Projects, right down the block from Monroe Projects, right up the block from Bronxdale Projects. Castle Hill Projects is up the hill, and you know Bronx River is behind Bronxdale. So you know what I'm saying? I was caught up in the middle of all of that.
Yeah, I just showed them a picture of the list of Bronx River. I just showed them. I don't know if you saw it on your screen, but yeah. So letting people know you're on that list. You're the 8th name from the bottom of that list, that you were part of the Bronx River organization.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
He had my real name first, Robert Gunny, on there.
Right.
And then he put Khalif because, see, Bambaataa gave me the name Khalif. He named me that. So when I became a part of the Zulu Nation, he named me Khalif.
Right.
So yeah. So then that's why he changed. He erased that out and then put Khalif on top of it because, you know, he had given me that name, you know. And I wear that name proudly, you know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
I made the name something, you know, to be proud of, and so you know, I wear it proudly.
Right.
What was I saying? Okay, so growing up in that area, in the Soundview Saquon area, you know what I'm saying? You had to be a part of a gang. I mean, I know FaZe alluded to this, and then he was talking about. I could relate to what he was saying when he was talking about us hustling in the supermarkets as a kid. But what I was like kind of amazed about was like, you know, I said, okay, y'all walked all the way up to Pathmark. Now, if you know about Bronxdale and the vicinity between Bronxdale and Pathmark, you have to walk down the Bruckner and walk up that way to get to the Pathmark. But there was an A&P that was right across from Bronxdale, like diagonally. If you come out and you go under the Bruckner and then go over there was an A&P over there. And then if you go across, there was a finance supermarket up the block. And I used to hustle in the finance in the A&P. Back in the days to get my money, you know what I mean? But we all used to do that back in the days. So you know,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, let me show you a picture of, but you sent this to me, so I'm gonna go ahead and highlight it. This is you and FaZe. Yeah. Tell me about that picture. When did that?
All right, so that was at the premiere of the Microphone Check movie that we did. Yeah. So yeah, I seen him there and I was like, okay, yeah, let me take a picture with the brother. You know what I'm saying? Because see, I don't know FaZe like personally. Like, right. I mean, we lived in the same area and ran around the same people. It's kind of crazy because I've been to a couple of Mario parties. I was fortunate enough to have gone there. I was there with Bambaataa. And It was crazy. That whole Chuck City thing, the way he used to command the crowd when he used to be Chuck City. And I mean the crowd used to go crazy. I had never seen anything like that. I mean, it was amazing, man. Yo, y'all, I mean, if you never had the experience of going to a Mario party, man, that was something different, man.
When is the first time you saw Mario?
The first time, I mean, it had to be, man. I don't know. I think it was 76, man.
Okay.
I believe it was 76.
All right.
Yeah. I believe it was the summer of 76. I believe. No, wait. I may be wrong. Because I know that the Flash party was in 75. Let me get my dates right. Because
okay.
Flash party.
Take your time.
Yeah. So that couldn't have been. It had to be 76. What am I saying? Yeah, 76. That's what I said, right?
Right, you said 76.
Yeah, yeah. I'm getting old, y'all. I'm 63.
No, hey,
I'm a young man no more.
Okay. Because I'm 65, so I'm getting old too. So I'm there already.
Yeah.
So
it was in 76. I had seen Mario for the first time. Me, Bam, had went to the party. Herc was standing over here. Me and Bam standing over here. Mario's DJing and stuff, and it was just crazy. It was pandemonium. And then another time, I went with Bam Bada to PS 107, which was my old school when I lived over there in Saquon, and he was in the schoolyard back there in the schoolyard, and that was packed too, and that was Mario was that dude, man.
Okay, all right, that's what I heard. So so let me get back to the B-boys, because I remember in the interview with Nora Rad, you had mentioned that they were breaking, they were going to the floor in 72, 73, 74. Now you witnessed from your interview, you said you witnessed it for the first time in 75.
Right.
How did you know that they were doing that before, earlier on?
I'm basing that, and it's the craziest thing, because I'm basing it on, you ever saw the show That's My Mama?
Mm-hmm.
Remember Fred Rerun Berry?
Right.
He was doing a form of that. If you remember, he was doing some up rocking, and he would go down on the floor.
Right.
So that was like my first time. If I'm just referencing that from that, and when I say, because that show came out when did that show come out? In like 74 or something like that, right?
Yes, I'm not. Don't hold me. I'm not sure. Yeah. I know it was
and
early,
so when I reference that, I'm referencing that because I've seen him dance several different times, and I've seen him get down on the floor and do all that, kick his legs and do all that. I've seen him do it, and you could probably YouTube that, and you could, and you'll see him doing that.
But for you, 75, they were actually, you saw for yourself.
I see it live when I see people actually do. 75.
What about brothers like Ahmad Henderson? Did you witness him as a b-boy and Charlie Rock? Yeah, one of the original Zulu Kings.
Oh, you talking about Ahmad? I know who you're talking about. You're talking about Ahmad.
Yeah.
I don't call him Ahmad. I call him, what do I call him? Ahmed or something.
Ahmed or Ahmed. My bad. I mispronounced the word. Ahmed.
Yeah, no, I don't remember seeing Ahmed breakdancing, but I saw Charlie Rock.
Okay.
I saw Charlie Rock, I remember. And I think maybe they were like in the same crew. I'm not sure. I know they used to battle other people and stuff like that. But I know Charlie Rock, for b-boying. I'm not sure if, may he rest in peace, Powwow was b-boying. I'm not sure. But I do remember Powwow for his mic thing. He was always Biggs was always on Bam's mic, and Powwow. I remember that. Charlie Rock at one time was rocking on Bam's mic too.
What? But you saw him. But you did see Charlie Rock as a b-boy.
I saw Charlie Rock breakdancing. Yeah,
okay.
I saw that. Right. At least at one party, I saw Charlie Rock breakdancing. I never saw them. I don't know if I ever saw them battle in another crew, but I did see them breakdancing at one of the parties in the back of the center.
Okay.
It was outside one summer. And trying to think. It was something else I was gonna say to that, reference to that. Yeah, so the whole Bambaataa thing, how I got involved with that whole thing, I had never really did finish. So what happened was I had went over there and I met Bam. It was a crazy thing because I was living on Evergreen. We had moved from Saquon down to Evergreen Avenue, and we were living there. And Bam and them came over to jump these dudes on my block. This is my first encounter with them. And I was riding a bike. I was a little kid. I was about maybe 12, 11, 12 years old or something. I'm riding a bike. I see it looked like about 100 dudes, but it may be 30 or 20. I don't know. But I thought they were coming to steal my bike. So I booked. I got out of there. So I later on referenced Bam about this. And he was telling me that, yeah, they came over there and they came to jump these two dudes, because they was messing with somebody's sister, so on and so forth. And that was my first encounter with them. But I wound up going over the Bronx River. I went on my own, just went over there. And I'm going to tell you something about Bam, right? He's one of the most humble people that you ever want to meet. You understand what I'm saying? He was always a humble dude. He took me under the wing. He was a very humble dude. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about any other stuff. I'm not going to talk about that kind of stuff. Right. But I just know that he was always a humble dude, always like welcoming, and he mentored a whole bunch of us little dudes. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? He mentored us, and I've never known anything to be, any
funny,
other.
Yeah, right.
So they accepted me. Biggs, Soul Sonic Biggs, may rest in peace, Powwow, Ahmed, may rest in peace, Little Monk, Charlie Rock, all them dudes, Ed LaRock, may he rest in peace. A lot of dudes, man, passed away. Spider, Queen Kenya, Pepsi, all of them. I used to go sit in the circle in Bronx River and chop it up with these dudes, you know what I'm saying? And I would be there every day. I would hang out in Bronx River, and they just, they would look out for me. They was very inviting, very humble, you know what I mean? Because I'm saying this to say this, because the reputation that they had was known. Nobody wanted to go to Bronx River.
Right.
You didn't want to go to Bronx River, but I was one of them knuckleheads. I wanted to be down. And like I said in the beginning, right, I always wound up in the right place at the right time for some reason. I'm always somewhere because, it's crazy because I'm over there getting mentored by Bam, I'm watching him write I'm looking at his records because I'm a DJ also, right? So I'm looking at what Bam playing and stuff, right? And when he pushed the record back in the thing, I'm going through his crates. I'm looking to see what he played. And then I'm going back to Steve and I'm telling Steve, yo, we got to get this. Yo, we got to get that. You know what I'm saying? And there's another story I'm going to tell you about with Bam, right? I'm with Bam. We going to, it's called EJ Corvettes. It was like a department store. Okay. Now that's up there where that Pathmark is at. You keep going and you wind up in EJ Corvettes. It was like a strip mall over there. It's behind Stevenson Commons. You know what I mean? Over there by 131 and all that. So anyway, it's closed now. But Bam, me and Bam go to this. We go to Corvettes, right? And he's buying 2 records. I believe one of them was Phenomenon, but I know for a fact the other one was Bob James Mardi Gras. I didn't know what it was. And he was trying to hide it because he didn't want me to see. I'm gonna tell you another story about Bam. Let me get back to it. So, right, so he was trying to hide it from me, but I saw the album cover, and I said I didn't know what it was. But when we left there, I immediately went to Steve and I said, "Yo, Steve, I don't know what this record is, right? But it's a golden arm with an apple. We got to get that." And that was Bob James Mardi Gras. We called it the Breaking Bells. That's what we called it.
Okay.
Yeah. And so now another story I'm gonna tell you about Bam with the record thing. Bam was in he was the master of the records. He was known as the master of the records. Bam had beats you had never heard before. Because I tell you, it was all about the beats. And so you referenced, I don't know if it was you or Andre that referenced. Oh no, it was you. You referenced why the DJs cover up the album covers, right?
Right. The albums or the records.
Well, the purpose of that was because we didn't want anybody else to know what we were playing. See, because it was all about a competition. Who had the best beats or a beat that nobody else had? I mean, and so what we would do was we would cover up. We knew what it was, right? But we would cover up the label or put it in a different album cover to throw other people off, other DJs off. Because all DJs were doing this. All DJs were looking to see what the next man had.
Right.
We were doing a party in Parkside Plaza, which was right around the corner from the Sparkle, which is on Mount Eaton Avenue. As soon as you come out the Mount Eaton train station, it was right there. That was the Sparkle. But around the corner was the Parkside Plaza. It's a church now. and we were throwing a party in there, and Breakout came to the party, right? And so Breakout is in the party, and I put on this particular record, and it had the crazy break to it. And Breakout was like looking like, yo, what's that? What's that? But I couldn't tell him what he was. We don't share trade secrets. You know what I'm saying? So that was the thing with it. It was one of those kind of things. So we always like, but we would share certain records with each other. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because the thing with us was it was all friendly competition with us. It was all friendly competition. Because you got to remember now, I'm over there on Flash's side, right? Because that's where Steve and them is based at. Steve is training with Flash. Steve trained with Flash for 6 months. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people know about Flash training Theodore, but a lot of people don't know that Flash trained Steve for 6 months. You know what I mean? So now you want to get to the story about Flash and what Steve showed Flash.
Yes, definitely. You want to get to that.
I believe this is when Flash was living on Fulton Avenue, and he lived up on the 5th floor, right next to Bronx Lebanon Hospital, or what was Bronx Lebanon Hospital. I don't know if it still is, but it was a walk up, and we went there. We was in the apartment, and Melly Mel was there. Melly Mel answered the door for us. We was in the living room. So Steve started DJing on Flash's set, right? So what happened was Steve put a couple of 45s on there. So now back in the days, the 45s RPM, the little disc, right?
Right.
Had a little yellow disc or a red disc that you put in the middle.
Yes.
And you put that on the turntable.
Right.
So now Steve puts the 245s directly on the felt. Directly on the turntables, directly on the felt. And he starts spinning the 45s back on the felt. Melly Mel sees Steve doing this, and he's like, yo, Steve, what the fuck are you doing? How are you doing that? He couldn't believe it. He went and got Flash out the bedroom and said, yo, Flash, you got to come in here and see this. You got to see this. Look what Steve is doing. So he brings Flash in there, and Flash sees what Steve is doing, and Flash is like, oh, shit, because he couldn't believe it. See, because Flash he would have an album on there, and then he would put the 45s on top of the album, and the 33 in the third, and then he would spin back like that. You know what I mean? That's how he was spinning back. He was never spinning back on the felt. Steve was the one who showed him how to do that.
Wow. And see, that's, for a lot of people, that's very controversial because they want to, and I remember in the interview you were saying with Nora Rad, you were saying, I don't know if even Flash would verify that story, but I want to play for you a little bit of what Flash said in regards to how he came to use the felt.
Okay.
And I want to get your opinion on that. Just hold on for a second. Let me go here.
You take the turntable out of the box, and in the packaging, there's this rubber, I call it like a pancake type of thing, that is sitting on the turntable platter.
Yeah.
And to this day, I don't know what the use of that was. And for me, I figured, let me plug the turntable up, put the album on the rubber pancake thing, start the turntable up. Clockwise motion. Now the key thing was this. I needed the platter to continually be able to go in a clockwise motion while I went in a counterclockwise motion. So when I turned the turntable on, put the album on this rubber thing, and I tried to move the album in a counterclockwise motion, I was getting this resistance. I'm like, okay, there's something that's not happening here. What was happening, the problem was when I proceeded to move the platter in a counterclockwise motion, the whole platter was going with me. This became a huge problem with this resistance of the platter not freely going in a clockwise motion. So in thinking of this problem I had with the turntable, something came in my head. I immediately took my album to the material store And I remember, Mom was a seamstress. So remember, y'all, I had the privilege of touching all these different type of materials. So as I'm walking down the aisles of the fabric store, I'm touching rayon, silk, polyester, cotton, suede, leather, felt. As I was touching the felt, I said to myself, this is lightweight. But then when I took a piece of the felt and I laid it over my arm, it was quite limp. So I still had a situation there. So I just said, I'm going to take 2 pieces the size of an average album. I'm going to go to the cash register, pay for it, go home. And I had to figure out a way to make this limp felt more sturdy, more solid. So when Mom wasn't looking, I dumped out all the water out of the iron, turned it all the way up high, went in the cabinet in the kitchen and got the spray starch. And I sprayed the circular felt on both sides, ironed it until I was able to get it as stiff as possible. I took the nasty rubber off, put the felt on the steel platter, and then I took the album and put it on the felt, and then I turned the turntable on. It went in a clockwise motion like it was supposed to, and then I put my fingertips on the album to try to get the album to go in a counterclockwise motion. Now, you gotta understand, I need the both of these things to be running in opposite direction, but in fluid. Now, it was much better than that nasty rubber thing that came with the turntable. I needed one more material that would perhaps give the turntable platter freedom to move in a clockwise motion. And I can remember on days when Mom would make chocolate chip cookies with this type of paper that felt like wax. So what I did was I borrowed 2 pieces of it, the size of the album, and then I went back to the turntable. And I just decided I'm gonna take the wax paper and put that on the turntable platter, and then take the felt and put that on top of the wax paper, and then take a chance on putting the album on top of these 2 materials, turn the turntable on, allow the turntable to go up to speed, and then I proceeded to put my fingertips on the vinyl and go in counterclockwise motion, and I could see that it was a happy medium between the platter going in clockwise motion and the album going in a counterclockwise motion.
So that is Flash's rendition of that story. So he doesn't give too much. He doesn't really cite Stevie Steve for introducing the felt, but
no. Steve didn't introduce him to felt. You understand what I'm saying? No, what happened is Flash he did the whole thing that he did that, you know?
Okay, all right.
He used the felt and everything. But what I'm saying is this, right? You see how he had the turntable there? Mm-hmm. He would put the album on there. And so in order to spin back 45s, he would put the 45 on top of an album.
Okay.
And spin it back like that. Steve showed him how to spin back just on the felt without the album. If you mind, you eliminate the album and you just got the 45 on the felt on the turntable and you're spinning it back like that. Because prior to that, Flash wasn't doing that. He was spinning it back on top. He would put it on top of an album. He would have the 45 on top of an album, and that's how he would spin back.
All right.
That's how, yeah. So So everything he was saying, he did. Flash did that. Let me tell you something, okay? Now, when it comes to how people can sit there, because there's a whole controversy about why hip hop is a foundational Black American creation and all those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that right there is one of the main ingredients and reasons why. Because you can sit there and try to bring all these other elements into this, right? And say, okay, well, people like Pig Meat Malcolm and them were rapping back in the days, you know, a form of rapping, right? And Hollywood, DJ Hollywood and them, and may rest in peace, Starsky and Junebug and them, they were doing they version of a you know, of a rapping thing, right? And all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm trying to say is this, right? When it comes to, okay, I'm gonna say hip hop, right? And the creation of hip hop, that was solely created by us, right? And
Right.
what I mean by that is Grandmaster Flash doing what he did, right? What he just kind of explained right there, what he did, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
he was the one who came up with this, because you see Herc and Bam and Mario, right?
Right.
They were mixologists. They were not, they couldn't cut records like that. You understand what I'm saying? You know, they were not great like DJs, like, you know what I'm saying, in the form of a modern DJ, like, you know, today's DJ or whatever. But you see, now let's go back to 70, what is it, 74, 70, you know, 5, whatever, you know, when Flash comes up with this technique, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was just you would mix, you would blend, like a beat would be on, and then you take and blend another beat in, you know what I'm saying? And it
Right.
was done with, there wasn't even a mixer at first, like FaZe told you. It was, and then when they did come up with the mixer, it was an up and down. It was an up and down thing. You would do the up and down, you know?
Right.
And Stevie Steve learned how to DJ on a close and play. I wish I had the picture of that. I could show you the
Oh,
picture.
you know what? Hold up. Let me stop. I will, before you do that, since I got this up, talk about the members of the Magnificent Seven. Then I'll go to that other photo.
Okay, so this is the picture that we took way back about. I forgot when we took this picture, but it was years ago. And this is not the complete Magnificent Seven, as you can see. It's only 6 of us in there. Now Kev is taking the picture, but Shaft, the guy that was on here earlier, he's the one that wasn't in the picture. I think he was locked away at the time. But that's me with the checkered shirt on, Stevie Steve, my cousin Little Shotgun Rob. That's Jazzy Jeff standing next to him. Next to him is Davey Dave, and then little Rodney C. Rodney C is in the front here.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I definitely want to talk about the ending of Magnificent Seven. What happened to the beginning of the Furious, or you know, the Funky Four.
Okay, the Funky Four. Yeah.
We're gonna go into that.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. So now there was actually 3 Funky Fours.
Okay.
In the history of this. Okay. Now the first one was not a rap group or hip hop group or anything like that, right? But the crazy thing about it, the ironic thing about it, was people that were in it were major. Now the first, the original Funky Four consisted of my cousin Shotgun Rob, Vince, Sequoia Walker, Keith Cowboy, and little Rodney C was the plus one more.
Okay.
That was the original Funky Four. Now they weren't a hip hop. They weren't, you know, but Keith was Keith. May he rest in peace. Keith Cowboy. And little Rodney C is a rapper, you know, with the Funky Four. You know what I'm saying? And with us. You know, Rodney told KK, because Rodney and KK Rockwell are best friends. They always been best friends. You know what I mean? They went to school together. They used to hang out with each other and all that stuff like that. Like us and the Funky Four, Breakouts Funky Four, we had like we were like the youngins, right? The young crew, because you had the Marios, the Bams, Hercs, and the Flashes, right? And then we were the little guys underneath. You know what I mean?
Right.
Breakout in the Funky Four, Stevie Steve and the Magnificent Seven. Because now we was on the Flash side of town. Breakout was uptown, right? But he used to go to Bronx River and all those places to DJ with Mario and 131 and 123 and all that stuff like that. So he used to come down. That Sasquatch, you know, that shit is legendary. You know what I mean? So we were like the youngins coming up underneath them. you know.
Mm-hmm.
So KK, Keith, Jazzy Jeff, Shyrock, and Rodney C all went to Lehman High School together. You know what I mean? They all hung out together. So it was inevitable that things would turn out the way they turned out. But the thing is this, right? So now we in the Magnificent Seven. They're in the Funky Four. Now, let me get back to the story. Let me backtrack. So Rodney C was the one who told KK, yo, you should use the name Funky Four. You know what I mean? And so that's why Breakout's crew was called the Funky Four. Now, the original Funky Four, this is the second Funky Four now. The original Funky Four was KK Rockwell, Keith, Shyrock, and Raheem. That was the original Funky Four. Now, what happened was when we did that battle in Manhattan against the Magnificent Seven, the first battle, I never told you the ending of the story. The first battle, the guy took off with the money. He left with the money at the door. You know, we had this dude who was watching the door, and Shotgun Rob was supposed to be watching the door with him. I guess Shotgun turned his back on the dude. The dude dipped out with the money. So we ended up having to take our system home on the train. We was broke. We didn't money to get back. We had got on the train, but everybody that came there with us, all the crowd people or whatever, everybody grabbed a record crate or whatever, or a turntable or a speaker or something, and we all got on the train and went home. So now, like I told you, we battled them again the second time, right? And the second time we watched that door, we got paid the second time. So now this is back in 77, right? So we got $60. We had to split the money with the other Magnificent Seven. You know what I mean? So now we got $60. We go back to the lab. Now Steve had got his own apartment up on 183rd and Washington Avenue. That's up the block from the Webster PAL. We on Washington, Webster Park, and then Webster. You know what I'm saying? And we had a little spot up there called the Uptown Beat that was up there. But Steve lived on 100. So that's where we used to practice at. That's why I used to do all our things. So when we get back to the lab, Rodney wants to buy microphones with the money. It's like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Now we on 183rd and Washington Avenue, right? You know, on Fordham Road, there's a White Castle. It stays open 24 hours a day. So we want to eat. Now the majority of us want to eat. Rodney's like, I want microphones. We like, we hungry. I want microphones. We hungry. So it became a debate. You know what I'm saying? So us wanting to eat won out. So we go to White Castle and we buy like 160 burgers or some shit like that. Yeah, we go and we chow down on these burgers. But this pisses Rodney off. It pisses him the fuck off. He's pissed. So he's like, yo, that's it. I quit. I ain't fucking with y'all no more. We thinking he just blowing steam. He'll be all right. He gonna, he'll get over it. He'll be back tomorrow. So what happened was one day, somebody comes up to Steve and tells Steve, yo, man, your MC, because there was on Webster Avenue. If you go up, it's right off Park Avenue up there, right close to Fordham Road. Like a block before Fordham Road. I don't know if you know about this store called Bronin's. It's a music. No. So okay, well, right off Fordham Road, a block away from Fordham Road, there's this park. There's a park there on Webster Avenue, and Breakout is in there DJing. So somebody comes up to Steve and tells him, "Yo, man, your MCs is over there at Breakout's party, MCing on the mic at Breakout's party." So Steve is like, "My MCs ain't over in no Breakout party." So Steve goes over there because it's right down the block from where he lives at. And sure enough, Rodney and Jeff are on the mic at Breakout's party. So as it turns out, Breakout, okay, so let me tell you the whole story. I'm going to give you the bigger picture, right?
Okay.
So what happened was I told you who the original Funky Four was. I mean, the second Funky Four was Raheem, KK Rockwell, Shyrock, and Keith, right? Raheem apparently got, what I'm told, got kicked out the group, or they fired him or whatever, right?
Right.
So now this is just, they changed the whole course of hip hop as we know it today. This whole incident right here. So what happens is Raheem winds up leaving. He winds up going and getting down with Flash, and they become the Furious Five. That's what became the Furious Five. Now Rodney C and Jazzy Jeff leave us, and they go to Breakout. And then Chirac had left in protest of them firing Raheem, right? But then she came back. They was the new Funky Four. And then she came back and it became the Funky Four plus one more. So that's how you know the Funky Four that you know today. That's how that got formulated.
Okay.
How that, and the Furious Five, that's how that got formulated. And
Gotcha.
it all, and we was intricately involved in that whole shit. You know what I mean? Because they left us to go do that. And what we pissed off, hell yeah. You know what I mean? Our brothers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, all is forgiven. We back together today, you know what I mean? And we do a party, Rodney and Jeff will come. Jeff lives out in Florida, but you know, we had a reunion, and I was going to send you some of the slides from the reunion that we did, because we did a soft reunion. We didn't make a real lot of noise about it, you know what I'm saying? It was the first time we were together in 43 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Because Rodney and them left like in 79. We did that reunion a couple of years ago. Yeah, so that was the first time we were together in like 43 years. It felt good though, you know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to get these brothers motivated because we throwing a Magnificent 7 day on August 23rd over on Prospect Avenue where we started between Prospect and Chisholm, right there, right down in Katona. You know what I mean?
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah. Let me show you this photo that you wanted to talk about before. Let me show it right quick.
Okay, so that's the closing play that Stevie Steve learned to DJ on. Now, listen, so now getting back to this DJ thing, right? And the whole thing I was saying, because I kind of got sidetracked, but Stevie Steve, there was no mixers. There was no mixer. And then when they did have a mixer and came into the game, it was up and down. Stevie Steve learned how to DJ on this. And he would listen, he would put his ear to the thing to hear the beat and then, you know, do it like that. And that's how he learned how to DJ. And then when he found out that they had mixers, I think the first mixer was a Gemini. I'm not sure. I think it was a Gemini. It was up and down. It used to go up and down. Now they got the crossfade. You know what I'm saying? But it used to go up and down. You know,
right?
And so he learned how to DJ on that. Now, getting back to what I was saying about the formulation and how you know this was the creation that we created, because for Grandmaster Flash, right, to do all that stuff that you heard him say in there, right, with the felt on the turntable and all of that,
right?
He's the inventor of the quick mix, right? So now I said you had Pigmeat Markham, and you could go back and trace rap back to whatever, right, a form of rapping, right? But what Melly Mel, right? Keith Cowboy, but what Melly Mel and his brother Danny did, Kid Creole, Free Kid Creole, by the way. What him and they used to spit these 16s. They were doing this early in the game, and it was different. You know what I mean? And so they took that whole thing to another level because you could go with Coke La Rock, right? But Coke La Rock would get on the mic and say something like, "I'm Coke La Rock. I run the block." You know what I mean? Dot like that. You know what I mean? But what Mel and them were doing was spitting straight 16s. And now you take that, right? And what Flash did with that quick mix, the advent of the quick mix, because he did that. He invented that. And then the mixer into the mix. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that whole creation, that's foundational Black American creation. You know, people could say whatever they want to say about, you know, but what we do and how we do it and what influences the whole, this thing you call hip hop now was birthed out of that.
Okay, let me stop you right there because I know what's going to happen when somebody's going to say this. Well, Flash, he wasn't foundational Black America because he has Caribbean ancestry and he, you know, so what I always talk about, and I'm sure you saw some of my videos, I talk about culture. I talk about what is the culture, not ancestry.
Right.
Culture.
Because no matter what, I don't mean to cut you off.
That's okay. Go ahead.
You know, because you could talk about Herc, and then, you know, I'm just getting into the whole John Brown thing. So that's a whole, you know, another rabbit hole, you know.
Right.
We could talk about the Herc, right, being Jamaican, right? And everybody from Jamaica trying to take credit for, you know, because Herc was Jamaican, but Herc told you himself, and I'm gonna say this because of about Flash and about Herc. It doesn't matter what their nationality was because they were playing Black soul music. They were
Exactly.
playing black soul music. Their whole culture was about, they were not trying to be Jamaican or Caribbean or anything. They were trying to fit in with black culture.
There you go. Exactly.
When they was doing this, it was black. They were not trying. Flash was running around, in the hood, and so was Herc. There's pictures of Herc running around in the hood, driving around in a car with a big ass speaker sticking out the back of the car, and shit like that. You know what I mean? Come on. I mean, they were black, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
I know what you mean. Culturally, they were black American.
That's try to appropriate, and that's the whole thing. This is where this whole thing comes in, with people trying to appropriate our culture. You know what I'm saying? First of all, with Fat Joe coming out talking about hip hop was created by Hispanics and blacks 50-50. See, the thing with that is, even if you go by just the Herc Party, which we know now that was not the beginning of hip hop, that party on Cedar Avenue, Cedric Avenue, was not the beginning. It was not. And that's been disputed for years, because every time you turn around, you got more people saying that they was there and they was on an index card, you know what I'm saying? And all the people that, was on the index card. So, all these people saying they was there. And then you got people who couldn't have been there. I know I wasn't. I was too young. I didn't know nothing about it. I wasn't there. I ain't gonna sit there and lie. But that if you go by just that, right? The 73, right? Fat Joe was 3 years old in 73. So what the hell do he know? He can't tell you nothing. He's a little kid. He wasn't even in the parties. Now his sister Lisa, may she rest in peace, right? Used to be associated with Flash and them. You know what I'm saying? I heard Flash say out his own mouth that he used to babysit Fat Joe and all that shit like that there.
Wow.
Little Debbie and Little Terry and them say that they used to babysit Fat Joe. You know what I'm saying? When he was a kid. But all I'm saying is this. Facts of the matter is that you're too young to have been able to. So anything you saying, someone told you to say. And my personal belief is that he was being paid to say that nonsense. By the Democrats. And see, now the Democrats ain't giving you no checks now, so you ain't talking that shit no more. You know what I mean? And Busta Rhymes' ass too. Talking about we don't have any culture. We are the fucking culture.
There you go.
What you mean you don't have any culture? Everything, you are dressed like us. I mean, how did you make your money? You made your money off of us, off of what we do.
Our culture. Yeah.
Our culture. You dress like us, you talk like us. You weren't talking like your people. You were talking like us.
Right. Exactly.
You were emulating us. You were doing everything that we do. You walk like us, you talk like us. You did everything you do.
Exactly. They wouldn't admit that, but they would probably say, oh, that was just a street culture. It's just everything to avoid acknowledging the originator of the culture. It just,
exactly.
Anything except to say it's black,
to just take it away from us. And I think that was the whole big plan. I'm an avid fan of Tariq Nasheed. And I'm foundational to the heart. When he told me, when he said that phrase foundational, because I never really rocked with that African American thing. It just didn't fit right. You know what I'm saying? And that was forced on us by Jesse Jackson and the Democrats. You know what I mean? So long story short, it's all about them trying to appropriate this from us, just like they did. Listen, this is history repeating itself, because they did it with rock and roll, they did it with country music, they did it with jazz, they did it with every genre, and we created every genre. You got these people out here mad because Beyonce doing a country album. We created country.
Exactly.
We let them in rock and roll. We created that.
Right. Exactly.
Now they take it and start doing stuff with it. Now they want to say, oh, no, this is out. No, we created that. Y'all forgot. We let you borrow it. We didn't say you could keep it.
Right.
And if we want to go and back and do something, that's why I'm glad, the queen goes out there and do her thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm proud of her. I'm glad she's doing that, because that's ours. That's ours. It was ours.
Exactly. Won't you talk about this picture? Our friend sent this. See if you can.
I know I see Charlie Rock. Who else is in this picture that I know? I don't know any. I see. I don't know who else is in this picture.
Okay, because I think that is that Blackjack right here in the middle. I don't know if
it could be. It could be. I'm not sure.
Our friend sent this to me. I guess I thought maybe he thought you may know these people.
I
So
know
I can
Charlie
think,
Rock. I don't know the
right.
other guys. I'm not sure. I may if I.
Okay. All right. Let me get up. Let me get you another one and
Okay.
see. Let me see, because you have sent me a couple of them. So I just want to, before I forget, I want to, show a few of them. I think I'm weaving. Oh yeah, yeah. Let me show you this. Let's do this one. Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up. Let's see. 1 second. Okay. What about this one here?
Okay,
Who's
that's
this young lady?
Debbie D.
Debbie D. Yes.
Yeah. So now Andre knows Debbie D. Debbie D used to be with Andre and she's like a female MC. She
Right. Right.
from back in the days. Now you know Shy Rock is like the first like solo female MC. I got a story about that too if you want to hear it.
Hey, definitely. I want to hear it.
Okay, so now I had never like back in the days, right? Okay, it was a bunch of dudes on the block. I'm on the mic, right? You had Melly Mel, you had Keith Cowboy, you had May he rest in peace, you had Kid Creole, right? You had Raheem, KK, Keith, and them on the mic, right? You had Rodney and them on the mic and everything. Busy B Starsky and all that. I had never seen a female on the mic, so now I'm going to a party in Bronx River, right in the back of the center. So now, when you go into a party, as you get closer to the party, you can start hearing the music. You start hearing it. So you start as you getting closer. I'm coming from Westchester Avenue, going to Bronx River. I don't know if you're familiar with the vicinity, but I'm going to Bronx River from the 6th train from Westchester Avenue, going to Bronx River. So as I get closer to the river, I can hear Bam's system. I can hear the music. It's faint, but I can hear it. And as I get closer, it gets louder, and I get closer, it gets louder. Now there's somebody on the mic, and they rocking. So as I'm in the projects now, and I'm working my way back to the center. Because if you come in the projects from off 174th Street and then you walk to the back, that's where the back of the center is at, and the center and all that. So it's in the middle of the projects basically. So I'm working my way back there. Now I have a thing with me when I go to other DJs parties, right? I work my way to the front. We call it the ropes because they have it roped off, right?
Right.
So I work my way to the ropes to see who's doing what, who's there, who's doing what. You know what I'm saying? As far as JMCs, you know what I'm saying? So I'm hearing this person on the mic, but they got the light voice, right? And I'm hearing this, and I'm like, yo, but they rocking. So I work my way to the front, to the ropes, right? And I look, and I'm looking to see who it is, and I see this little girl with this mic, and she's fucking killer. She's rocking. And I'm like, oh, shit. And I had never seen a female on the microphone, and that was Shy Rock. And that was the first time I had ever seen any female on the microphone, and it was Shy Rock. And she was rocking. I went back to Rodney and them, and I told him, yo, y'all got a problem, man. There's a female that can rock the microphone better than some of these dudes, man. You know?
Yeah. Man. What is this one about?
Okay, now this is a party. I have other flyers too, but I couldn't find them. But this is a party that Bam threw back in 1977. First, he was going to throw it in 131, but he changed it to 123. And if you look in the right bottom corner, my name is on there. My name is on a few of Bam.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, right at the bottom here. I see it. Yeah.
So now this is an old flyer because you see it's like an index card. That was the way Herc did his flyers back in the days before they went to the paper and all that stuff like that. There, they used to hand do it by hand and then write people's names and the place and all that other stuff on there. But yeah, I'm on a couple of Bam's flyers. I'm just doing that for reference points to show you that my name is on.
Right, I got you. I got you because you got Bam body, recognizable names. You got
Now you see on Cowboy. There, Bam is with DJ Zambu, right?
Say that again.
You see on the flyer, Bam and DJ Zambu, right?
Right.
Now Zambu was Bam's first assistant DJ, if I'm not mistaken, before Islam. Because after Zambu had left, then it was Bam and Islam. Now Islam is out in I think California now, right?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, well, Islam is out in California, but Islam was the second assistant DJ. Now, yeah, I'm gonna tell you another story because now going back to Mario, right, and Bam and all this other stuff. So now I know you heard the infamous story, right, about Jazzy J, right?
Yeah, it's just the fight.
So Jazzy J was Mario's DJ. He was Mario's backup DJ, right? And I think Theodore DJ with Mario at one time too. And I know Busy B used to go rock on Mario's mic, right? But Jazzy J was Mario's DJ, right? And this is all, now it's past. So what happened was Bam stole Jazzy J from Mario.
Right.
And there was a fight. There was a fight between Mario and Jazzy J over Jazzy J leaving Mario and shit, So Jazzy J was Bam's third backup DJ.
Okay. All right.
And I remember one time we was little. Me and Jazzy J was like the youngins under Bam Biggs and Ahmed and all of them dudes, right? And we were going to the West Indian Day Festival back in the days on the number 2 train. It was a whole bunch of us, you know what I'm saying? Like about 20, 30 of us on the train. And me and little Jazzy J, right? And so when we got to the West Indian Day Festival, they have these floats going by, and stuff like that there. And these dudes went by and they was doing this jungle thing, right? But they looked like they was fighting for real. They were hitting each other and shit with sticks and all this. And it looked like they was hitting each other for real. And me and him was marveling at that shit. It was crazy though, man, But that's when I first met Jay and shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you see, I be name dropping like a motherfucker.
Hey, that's what I want you to do. That's what I want you to do.
I be in the right place at the right time. It just happened.
That's what I need you to do. Tell the truth. Tell the whole story.
The crazy thing is that I'm able to recall, I'm able to remember, all these little details about all of this stuff, man. I got so many stuff. I experienced a whole lot, and it was all by accident because I didn't purposely, do this. I didn't purposely mean. I never thought that this was ever going to take off like it did. Shaft is back. Yo, Shaft.
Is he there? Shaft?
I wanted him to chime in.
I know. I was trying to get you to finish your story before I brought him in.
All right, yeah. So,
but he's not. It's either
if you
he's
got any
away.
other questions you want to ask me, you can ask me.
Let me see, because you pretty much went over a lot of them. When you were telling this, telling the story. Let me see if there's a question in here that I didn't ask or that you didn't cover, because you pretty much. Let me see. Remember.
But I hope the people enjoyed it. I hope they got a lot of knowledge out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I only speak what I know. I only speak what I know. Only things that I experience. You know what I'm saying? I don't. I ain't sitting there trying to. Because that's a lot of that goes on in this game, and it's unfortunate because it distorts from the truth and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And getting back to the John Brown thing, I wanted to really dwell on that a little bit, because that was shocking to me. Like, but I always knew that it was going on before that. You understand?
Right.
I always knew it was going on before that. There was always something being said about it, that wasn't the beginning of this.
Right.
And
exactly.
And it's just crazy because people will sit there and take credit. It's just like when they get on that, they do that picture, right? And they do and they start calling it the big 3. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't just 3 people who did this. You know what I'm saying? You forgetting about the Mean Jeans, who was Flash's partner, Disco B, Disco B, the Amazing Mean Gene, right? And then you forgetting about Stevie Steve, right?
Right.
Okay, he's mentioning Breakout now. They mention him Breakout now, but there's also Theodore. You know what I mean? Cordio. There was a lot of people, that just not getting mentioned. They're not even talking about Kid Creole anymore.
Yeah.
And Kid Creole was critical in this. That whole thing that with the echo chamber and all that stuff. Now, listening to the sounds, all of that. That was Kid Creole. He started, you know what I mean, with the echo chamber and all that. He did that.
Yeah, right.
So, it's just a lot of people that don't get mentioned. That's why I was talking to you about. I had asked you about the Pete Nice thing because he had made a statement about the John Brown thing and about how there's a whole lot of unsung people that are not getting mentioned in this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We
Exactly.
fall in that category too. You know what I'm saying? But what I like is that people like Andre, they remember us.
Right.
And you're talking about this 60 something. If you go by the 73 thing, it's 60 something years later, 50, 60 years later, and people are still talking about us. They still remember us. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
We definitely left an indelible mark in this game.
Exactly. Let me say something to the chat real quick. Chat, if you have any questions for our brother DJ Khalif, he got a whole lot of information. So again, just type in question and then type in your question, and then I will pose that to DJ Khalif. All right. So let me see. Now, if you can hear me, DJ Shaft, you come on back in because you left and then or you weren't there. I don't know. So come back in because I'd like to hear what you have to say as well. So let me see if anybody's asking any questions yet. There are Saint Prince. Let's see.
Okay. Ask about the Latin breakdown.
Where you see that?
It's this what was his name? Malamet Warrior.
Okay.
Melanated Warrior. Yeah. I broke down the thing about the Latin the breakdown. See, like they were saying that we weren't doing floor work. Somebody said it. I don't know who said it. We weren't doing floor work.
I know who said it.
Yeah. Well, we know who said it. I just ain't trying to mention people.
Yeah, I know.
But that's a falsity. We were doing floor work, and I know for a fact because I used to get on the floor, dirty up my sneakers, dirtying up my jeans, messing up my sneakers and stuff, which is part of the reason I became a DJ and didn't want to break dance anymore.
Right.
I tired of tearing up my shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, that's what I've been hearing.
Go on the floor. We used to do floor work. We used to kick our legs and do all of that. If I wasn't so old, I would get on the floor and show y'all, but I ain't got it no more. So I ain't gonna try it because I might not be able to get up.
No, I hear you. Let's see what's another question. What about the claims of the 70s Bronx culture that included Bronx Puerto Ricans, but not FBA from other states? But I guess what he's asking is many Latinos will say, well, you know what? If you're not from the Bronx, even if you're Black American, that's not your culture as a Black American because you're not from the Bronx. That's their claim to try to. Let's say I'm from Jersey, right?
Right. Okay.
So basically, they're saying I can't claim hip hop as being part of Black American culture because I'm not from the Bronx. What do you got to say about that?
To that, I say that's nonsense because it's universal now. I mean, they're doing it overseas. They love us overseas. They're doing it overseas. They're doing it it's a worldwide phenomenon. Right. A worldwide phenomenon. You see, and this is how this thing that we used to do in schoolyards and little holes in the wall, right? And look at it now. Yo, Shaft, are you on?
Yeah, he's on now.
Yeah, I'm here, Khalif.
Chime in, man.
I'm listening to you, brother. You're doing a good job, man. I didn't know you were that informed, beloved. I'm impressed, man. I mean, I'm impressed, bro.
Recording on this, I start reliving it in my head, bro. I start reliving it. I'm back in the moment again.
Brother, I can see. Yeah. I can see, brother.
But getting back to what you say, this is a worldwide culture now, right? You know what I'm saying? So to sit there and say it's only a Bronx thing, that's limiting it. You know what I'm saying? You're limiting it.
Here's my take on it. When people say it's a Bronx thing, this is what I say. 90%, because I do a little research on this topic. 90% of the music doesn't come from New York. 90% of it. So if the music foundationally is not from New York, how can New York only claim it?
No, but you think
let me finish what I'm saying.
Okay.
Now, for example, James Brown. Now, I'm not saying hip hop comes from the South,
right?
But we all acknowledge James Brown as being not a foundation, but a huge part of the culture.
Right.
And so you can't, and this is why, as Black Americans, regardless of where you are, Black Americans, that's us. James Brown is us. That he belongs to us. And so anybody who is Black has participated in hip hop is Black American culture. That's how I see it. But there are Latinos who are trying to say, well, just because you're not from the Bronx, so you can't claim it, because we all agree that hip hop started in the Bronx. That's the argument.
Listen, that whole thing is nonsense, because we gave it to the world. We gave it to the world. You know what I'm saying? We're not saying, oh, this is just ours in the Bronx, and if you ain't from the Bronx, you can't. No, we never said that. And see, the funny, it's ironic that they would say that, right? Because we let their ass in. We let them in. You know what I mean? So now, and what did y'all do? We let you in, and now you trying to hijack it. You trying to take it and say it was ours. See, because that's what the 50-50 thing was all about. That's what it was leading to. First, it starts off, well, yeah, we created it 50-50, right? Then the next thing you know, oh no, we created that. You come back 5 years later, and it's, oh, we created that. That's how we did that. Just like they're trying to do with breakdancing. You know, now all of a sudden you trying to sit there and claim that y'all started breakdancing. When did y'all start that shit? We was doing that shit way back in the days. Right. We've been doing that. We stopped. And y'all came back, and thank you for doing that. Y'all came back and y'all took, and we give them their credit. We give them their credit for sure. We give you credit. See, because that's how we are. We're a humble spirit.
Exactly.
We don't mind. We don't mind. But exactly. You know, what you should do though is give thanks to the people who gave it to you, man.
Right.
Be humble. You know what I'm saying? Be humble. Right.
Let me ask DJ Chef, if you want to answer this question. The question is up. It says, do you think that Disco King Mario was intentionally left out of the creation because he was from North Carolina?
I don't understand the question. The creation. When you say the creation,
I guess they're referring to the creation of hip hop, if you were.
Oh, was he left on?
No. Like what many people don't acknowledge him as like a founding father because for whatever reason. Basically, the question.
Can I chime in?
You can chime in. Go ahead.
It's more about what his name. It was more about his name. He was called Disco King. So they saying because he was Disco King, that he was playing disco, he wasn't really hip hop. But I was at Mario parties. He played beats. He played beats at his party.
Say that again. Say that again. Mario did what?
He played beats at his party.
Okay. There's this rumor going around he didn't play beats.
No, I mean now listen, like I said, Bam, Herc, and Mario could not cut for shit. Okay, they could blend and mix. But a lot of the beats that he played had beats in it. It had beats in it. People was dancing. I didn't say people was there breakdancing and all that shit, but you know, they were dancing. Now he wasn't doing like, okay, let me clarify something. He wasn't doing like Herc and Bam, where they were specifically concentrating on the beat like that. He wasn't doing that. I'm not sitting there saying that.
Okay.
No, but you know, he played, if I'm not mistaken, let me try to think of some of the records that he was playing, because they had a group that people was playing, you know, and a lot of, you know, I don't know, but a lot of people got their stuff from Mario, you know what I mean? Like I said, I was at that party over there, and Herc is standing over here, and me and Bam is standing over here, you know what I mean? So, you know, a lot of people drew from him. You know?
I got you. Yeah, that's what I hear. That's what I hear.
Spade to spade. You know,
right. Here's a question, but I kind of, it's a difficult question to answer because all the information is not out. But the question is, what type of influence did Pete DJ Jones have on Grandmaster Flash? We know that he went to the Plaza Tunnel. We do know that. Yeah. But we don't hear from him necessarily what the influence is. So the jury is kind of out. Yeah. Unless at some point DJ Jones comes out and says, this happened. This what I was influenced, whatever.
Right. I can't really speak to that, but the brother he asked the question about Keith Cowboy coined the term hip hop. I know it existed as a culture before it was named what made it the term. Okay, so yeah, I can answer that question. You can
Okay.
read the question down there.
I don't know where it is.
It's it's a DN 3001, I think it is.
Let me see if I can find it.
And so he's asking,
go ahead and answer.
how to keep Cowboy coin the phrase. So now, from what I know, from what I heard in Shaft, you can chime in on this if you want. But he from what I heard, Billy, who is Miss Melody's brother. Miss Melody is Melly Mel's baby mother. That was Melly Mel's girlfriend back in the days. Her brother Billy was going to the army. He was getting ready to go to the army. So Keith Cowboy, from what I heard, this is the, from what I heard and what I know, Keith Cowboy was teasing him. He was saying, you're going to be in the army. They're going to be saying early in the morning, they're going to be like, get up, hip hop. And that's where that came from. He started saying that. And then he incorporated that into his rhyme style. And that's where the term hip hop came from. That I heard.
That's the story that most people have heard. Even though separately we also know that the word hip and hop were used not together, but in distinct ways. Like
right.
Hip, being
back in the days, way back there, hippity hop, or something like that. Yeah.
Right. Even when you say with Lindy Hop and then you got the hip, so it was always a part of our vernacular. That's another thing that I talk about. Right. Culture, vernacular, that tells you that where this comes from. How can you not say that hip hop doesn't come from Black American culture when the two words can be traced to our culture? If it came from Latino culture, or Puerto Rican culture, or Norwegian culture, where are the Spanish words? Where are the Spanish slangs? Where are the Spanish phrasing? There's none of that in the hip hop language. And so this is why it's important to talk about where the culture comes from. It's easy to tell. I don't know why some people have a difficulty understanding that. And so what they do, they say, oh, it's street, because they don't want to give credit to Black Americans.
That's the bottom line. The bottom line is they just don't want to give us the credit for it. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And like I said, it's all about a hijack. Years ago, right? Like I said, they wasn't even being a part of this. They didn't want nothing to do with this, right? And so now it's this worldwide phenomenon, a $1 trillion industry now. And so, everybody wants a piece now. Everybody wants a piece. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. You know what I'm saying? People have exploited the shit out of this. When everybody started going and making those records, they got exploited. They got the shit exploited out of them. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's all about. People saw that this could make money. And so they was like, and so now it's about a misappropriation of the culture as a whole. Then that's what's really going on. They want to misappropriate it. They want to take it and put it in other people's head. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to steal it and say, oh yeah, no, we created this. We started this, because I guess if we went for the 50-50 scam, right? 5 years later, they'd be saying, oh no, we started this. I guarantee you. But because of making that movie and taking that stand, you know what I'm saying? They weren't able to get away with that. He put pioneers in there that told you where it came from and who started this. You know what I'm saying? So it's very hard to dispute that.
Right.
And like I'm standing here telling you, and I'm one of the pioneers, and I'm telling you that it was us. It came from us.
Right. Here's a question that or a statement by Malik Bey, and this goes to the point that many Black Americans outside of New York are frustrated by, because he's saying this: Motown was created in Detroit, but it's still Black American culture. So, for example, just because Motown was created in Detroit, we as Black Americans from New Jersey, New York, the South, we all say that's our culture.
Right, yeah.
So the same thing is true with hip hop, because
it's Black culture. Right, it's Black culture. Exactly. I don't know who's saying that it's not. I don't.
A lot of Latinos are saying.
Oh yeah, well, that's expected of them. That's expected of them, because they're just trying to misappropriate the culture. They're trying to hijack it. So I can understand them saying that. But the thing about it is that you can't sit there and say, well, if you ain't from the Bronx, you know what I mean? Because they said that about Tariq. They like, how you going to make a movie about hip hop? He's from California. But the thing about it is that it is Black American culture. It's foundational Black American culture. So any foundational Black American can participate in it. We never said, and we invited y'all in. We invited y'all in,
Right,
and y'all
right.
should be humble. You should be
There you
thankful.
go. Yeah, there you go.
But instead, you want to do this, you want to try to, come in and do some old sneaky Pete shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessary. You know what I mean? Just give credit where credit is due. Let me tell you something. The Rolling Stones, right? Who else was it? The Rolling Stones. What was the other big group back then? Rock and roll groups. They all gave credit to Muddy Waters and them.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
For the music that they were playing. They humbled themselves and gave credit to the man.
Mm-hmm.
People gave credit to Chuck Berry and Little Richard because they know they created rock and roll. You understand?
Right,
What
right.
give credit where credit is due.
Exactly. Here's another question. How big was Tex DJ Hollywood?
Okay, you talking about Hollywood. Okay, Hollywood was huge. Hollywood was big.
I want to get confused.
Okay, you
Just in
talking
case.
about Tex from Bronxdale?
Yes, that
Mario's part, okay.
Mario's partner, right.
I mean, that whole Chuck City thing was big. I mean, it was big. Like, I can't really say, because see, he didn't get it, like, he wasn't known like in our circles, like, okay, if you can understand what I'm saying, like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm of the Bambaataa, Flash, Breakout ilk. You understand what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
I rode in that kind of circle where what we were doing was a little different than what they was doing.
I got you.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's like they were playing, like, okay, they were playing music. They were playing disco music. They were playing music. You know what I'm saying? Upbeat, danceable music, right?
Right.
And like I said, Mario, some of them had beats in it. They were upbeat records. Put it like that, okay? You know what I'm saying? But what we were doing, Herc, Bam, us, flashing them, Breakout, we were concentrating on the beat. We were concentrating on the break. We would concentrate on the break. We would find records with the break. We wanted to cut that break. And the crazier the break, like the Apache. There was a record called Mambo No. 5, Willie Dynamite, Chase, Blow Your Head by Fred Wisely and JB. You know what I'm saying? All those records with those beats, man, with that crazy drum coming there and that beat, and that's what they was infectious. Coming out of the right speakers, man. With
Right.
that shit is, man. Listen,
How much of the break beat for you, and especially b-boys at the time, was heavily influenced by the congas, or the bongos, or the timbales, or was it more or less on the drum kit?
I would say the drum. Yo, Shaft, what you say about that?
I say mixture of both, man. Apache,
You
Mambo
right?
number 5, all of that was predominantly bongos. Mambo number 5.
Yeah. It had a percussion,
All of that was
percussion
bongos,
and all that
man.
stuff to it. Yeah,
Apache, bongos.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
The bongos was big,
They
man.
were the Incredible
It's a
Bongo
mixture of
Band.
both. Huh?
They were the Incredible Bongo Band. Michael Viner and them. They were the
Yeah.
Bongo Band.
It was a mixture of both, man.
Okay. Did you guys know that the who was that guy's name? Oh my God, Preston Epps. You ever heard of that guy, Preston Epps?
No.
Okay, he was the guy that originally created bongo rock. I know it's not the same bongo rock that you hear. That's one of the b-boy anthems, but he was one of the guys who was one of the advisors with his name Viner.
Michael Viner, yeah.
Michael Viner, and the creation of Apache and bongo rock and all of that. Is a brother out of I think it's either San Francisco or LA. I think it's LA, matter of fact. Yes, it's LA, who was introduced to playing the bongos by this traveling African dance troop, whatever the case may be. So that's the origin of how this song came to be in the first place. But that's just a little history. Question: Could you acknowledge this being Mario's daughter? Oh, of course. How you doing, Mina? How you doing, sister? This is Mario's daughter, Mina.
Okay, how you doing?
I'm sure she says hello.
Okay.
I appreciate you, sister. Let me see. Question. Let me see. Tuesday. Could you? Oh yeah, I just did that. Okay.
She had a question for me?
Yeah, Mina, do you have a question for him? Just put it in the chat, and then I'll put it up. Let's see. Anybody else? Oh, here. Let's do this one in case. Let me see. Let me see this one. Let's do this one. I have a question. Do you consider graffiti an element of hip hop? Both of you could answer that question if you want.
I believe that graffiti, but it came into the hip hop thing later.
Okay.
I know that because you see, when it came in, it was when they started like spray painting the crew's names on the wall, like the DJ, and then it's part of the flyer culture, like part of the right, Chef.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, part of the flyer
I
culture.
think they're intimately interwoven. I
Yeah,
mean, graffiti preceded hip hop. We
yeah,
was
it was that.
tabbing
That was
trains.
as far as
Yeah, and
the
like you mentioned,
connection.
the flyer element. You know,
Yeah,
it was graffiti that defined all the flyers. People with
yeah,
their fly calligraphy and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, definitely, graffiti's a part of hip hop in that regard.
So
yeah.
what would you say now? Now here's the flip side of the argument, and I know we as Black people are overly generous. Now I want you to consider this. They will say, well, if graffiti is an element of hip hop, then it is the first element. Therefore, Latinos being the primary graffiti artists, they should be considered co-creators of hip hop because they were first.
Okay, well, to that I say cornbread.
And they would say,
That's why I say cornbread to that because you know who cornbread is, right?
I know
Cornbread is
cornbread
the
is.
first graffiti artist, and cornbread is a foundational Black American, and he started graffiti. So that just kills that whole argument right there.
Well, let me tell you where I stand. Oh, TJ Shaft, what do you say to that?
I don't know. I just think the thing needs to be compartmentalized, man. Everybody played a part. You're dealing with who pioneered what, and clearly, you know, we were here first. You
Good
know,
comment,
namely black
China
people.
Black. Go ahead, Chef. China Black made a good comment. Go ahead.
Namely black people. But everybody played a part, and I mean it's multi-layered. Hip hop isn't just one dimensional; it's multi-layered. So if Latinos want to take credit for having implanted the graffiti element into hip hop, cool. That's your contribution. Now, if you're
Mm-hmm.
dealing with the music aspect of it, then that would be our contribution. I mean, it's multi-layered, man. It's not just a unidimensional thing. You know, hip hop is like you mentioned, Khalif is universal, and it's too vast. You know,
Mm-hmm.
to just pigeonhole it and say, "Hey, we did everything." You know,
Okay.
because in the hoods, I mean, I grew up. I was when I was 10, 9 years old. My neighbors were Puerto Rican, choking chickens and killing chickens for dinner. We
Mm-hmm.
grew up next to them. I was playing kungalas
They
when
got
I
so
was
the money.
12.
They were there. They were there. They were in
Right.
the
When I
Bronx.
was in
I'm
the
not
park
denying
playing
that.
Right. I was in the park playing congas when I was 12 because I was always intimately related to the Latino culture. They played a part. Without equivocation, they played a part. But in certain regards, we did certain things, and in other regards, they did other things. That's my opinion.
Okay, that's fine, and I could appreciate that opinion, but let me challenge you on this because I look at what is culture. Okay,
Mhm.
Right.
now when I define culture, there's two things. There's many things that define culture: language, right?
Mm-hmm.
Music and other norms, as it were. Now, what I'm asking you to consider is this: what is the language of hip hop, and does it derive from what culture of people does it derive from? Where is the music? What is the language, or what is the music of hip hop? What culture of people does it derive from? That's how I can define where this culture comes from. It's not to say that any other group didn't contribute, but we have to honor the foundation of the culture and not be so generous and say, "Oh, we all played a role," when that may be true to a degree, but it doesn't tell the whole story about its origins. So when I talk about the language of hip hop, the language of hip hop, through many linguists will tell you, the language of hip hop comes directly from AAVE. Everyone speaks a certain way that is derived from a culture of Black American culture.
Right.
No
right,
question about it.
right,
That is not Latino in no form or fashion. You can't
Right.
have a conversation in hip hop without speaking like us. You can't have a jam without playing our music. You can't dance to our music without knowing how we dance to our music.
Hell, you
All
can't
of
even
that
come
comes from
out the
Black
house
American
without
culture
dressing like us.
and dressing the fashion. So
You
what
know what I
I'm
mean?
saying to, and respectfully to you, DJ Chav, I understand what you're saying, but we as Black people are too generous, and we're willing to say we are the world. When these people are out here trying to take what we did and say, well, you guys, you know what they actually say? And I've been dealing with, I don't know if you heard of me before, but let me tell you what they're saying. Some people are saying about Black Americans. Hip hop has nothing to do with Black American culture. That's what they say. That's what they say.
That's
That's
crazy. That's
totally
crazy.
right.
And
That's
see, this
crazy.
is what I'm saying. So I've been in this battle dealing with these people for over 3 years.
Right.
I hear all this nonsense, and I'm not allowing people to get away with that. And I understand we as Black people, we're so accommodating, so loving. Oh, we are, well,
Yeah.
we that way,
Well,
and
we starting to gatekeep
we
now.
don't realize what they're trying to do.
Right.
They're trying to steal from us and say
Right.
that we didn't do anything. So I challenge any Latino. You come up here, you got my email. My email is right here on the ticker tape. We could set up a debate, and you prove to me that it comes from New Rican culture. You prove to me it comes from Puerto Rican culture. You prove to me it comes from Dominican culture. Tell me the music, the language, the dance. Tell me where that comes from. Point to an evolutionary period in your culture where that comes from. They can't do it.
Well, that's like an exercise of futility, man. We know, culturally speaking, every genre comes from us.
Yeah.
I don't care whether it's Spanish music, soul, merengue. It all finds its roots in Africanism. That's the bottom line. So that's
Right.
for any culture to come and say that they pioneered anything is basically erroneous, man. It's not gonna happen. So in that regard, I definitely concede with you, good brother. You're right. There's no arguing, no disputing that fact. My reference per se was just geared towards the graffiti element. That
Mhm.
was it. Other than that, I'm 110% in agreement with you. In my knowledge, you named somebody, Khalif, I never even heard of. What's the brother's name that pioneered graffiti?
Oh,
Cornbread.
cornbread from
Cornbread.
Philly.
Never heard of the brother,
Yeah.
but in my growing up, I used to tag myself and be on the trains myself. It was a lot of Spanish people. I don't know who pioneered it, but I know in my experiences there was a lot of Spanish people that were doing it.
Well,
But when we talking about the music though, and we talk about the breakdancing and all that, I'm in agreement with you, good brother. There's no doubt about it. There's no argument. That's ours.
okay. All right. Okay. So there's another question says, what does, and this is directed to you, Shaft. What does Shaft have to say about the 50-50 comment? That's so famous.
What's the 50-50 comment?
Oh,
You don't
the
know,
Fat
Jay?
Joe comment. The Fat Joe comment.
Yeah, Fat Joe said that hip hop was created by blacks and Hispanics 50-50.
Yo, Joe's a clown, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
Okay.
want to be. I don't want to. I didn't mean to say it like that, but no, not in my experience, man. No, there was like y'all went through the whole thing earlier, the whole spiel about who the Latino DJs and MCs were when this thing started, and they were none. They were none. The one that did come, I think you mentioned, was it? Okay, you had Charlie Chase, you had
No,
Ruby
yeah,
D, you had
I was
Whip.
talking about Wiz and Kaz, when Kaz and Wiz,
Yeah,
DJ
but
Wiz.
we were here already. We were here.
Right.
Yeah. I know
No,
we were.
no,
You know what I
that's
mean?
not. No, that's not cool. I mean, realistically speaking, Latinos didn't even get heard realistically in the game into Big Pun. If you really think about it, they really true notoriety and recognition as Latinos in hip hop didn't come about into Big Pun. So
And
I mean,
there's truth to that statement too, because Joe was, I mean, he's just not a great rapper.
Big
He,
Pun
he
made
just was never
Joe.
anybody. Yeah, he
Big
made Joe.
Pun made Joe.
Yeah.
Prior to that, Joe
Never
hadn't even reached
around.
gold.
And you know what else too? Remy Ma was better than Joe also. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah. But
that
Joe
whole,
was here, no doubt about it. He's an intimate part of the hip hop culture or whatever, but he's not a pioneer. You
well,
know,
what he is he's ungrateful. He's ungrateful, in my opinion. He's ungrateful because this is where I go back to the same thing I was saying earlier, Truth, about people not being humble and not, Busta Rhymes and all of them. Y'all used our culture to get where you are. And you know what the funny thing about this is? They waited until their careers were already at the back end to start this shit. After you made all your money, now you're talking this shit. Because you wasn't talking this shit 20 years ago. Because if you said this 20 years ago, your ass would never make a dime in this. And you knew this.
Right.
right. Yeah, that's a fact.
Right.
I
Here's
mean,
a
back then, it really wasn't about none of us making money back then. It was
right.
the fun of it, man. We was in it because that's what we like to do,
I'm not talking
man.
about that. I'm not talking about when we was doing it. I'm talking
Right,
about
right,
like Fat Joe making that statement, right? He would have never
right.
made it. That would have been career suicide. Busta Rhymes too, talking about we don't got no culture.
No,
Those would have been
no, I
suicide
don't.
statements. They would have ruined their whole career. It would
Right,
have been
I
career
agree.
suicide.
I agree
But
with
they
you, bro.
waited till they made their money off of the culture, and now they talking that shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what bothers me. You know?
Mhm.
Let me ask this another question. I'm not sure. Maybe you guys understand what this means. Ask him. Did he know Imperial JC from the Herculoids? Does that sound
JC
familiar?
from
Oh,
Hercules.
I know of him. I know
Yeah.
of him. I know
Oh,
JC. Yeah.
who is
There,
he?
there was a rumor. Let me real quick flash. Shaft. There was a rumor that Imperial JC was known for being real fast on the turntables, right? So there was a rumor that him and Flash, because Flash was supposed to be the fastest at battling. I mean, at DJing back then, right? Now I'm gonna tell you another story too with that, because so now there was a rumor that JC and Flash had a battle and that JC won. I don't know how true it is because I never, you know what I mean? It's just something that was said in the streets. But getting on another note, Stevie Steve, who was the most unsung dude in this game, man, right? Shaft, tell them about the time when we was at the Dixie when Flash put Stevie Steve on the turntables.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was like pivotal for us, man, as a group.
Yeah, because
Um,
now
um, I mean, I
he
personally
was
was
up there
like,
DJing, right? That's Stevie Steve on the turntables. That's not Flash. So
right,
okay,
because that's actually what happened.
yeah, that's
Because
actually what happened.
yeah,
Let him know
that's
how to
exactly what
tell the
happened.
crowd. Yo,
Steve
that's
was
Stevie
cutting.
Steve on the turntables. That's not Flash because people couldn't tell the difference.
Right. Flash said Steve was so fluid.
Yeah,
Steve was good, man. It's just that we didn't get the notoriety that a lot of these cats got because we didn't
exactly.
have the sound system. We didn't have we didn't have the
And then
longevity.
Rodney and them
But
leaving the group too, that it had all to do with it too. You know what I mean? That was
yeah,
pretty much,
yeah, but talking about Steve per se, man,
yeah,
that's my hero, man. That's my DJ. That's my guy. Cause
yeah.
he was
And
good, man.
Steve's in
He
Wild
was
Style
good,
too, by
man.
the way. Steve is the one DJing for Double Trouble in Wild Style in the movie Wild Style.
Okay.
That's
Wow.
Stevie Steve.
Right.
Yeah, that's
I
Stevie Steve.
mean, he
That's
was good, man.
my brother,
He
my heart.
yeah, it's like he was just good, man. You had to really witness him on the turntables to
Yeah,
realize how good he
and I'm
was,
talking
man.
about this is back in the days, back
Right,
early in the days. He
right,
was top notch. Like he
right,
could go with
right.
any one of them. He could go with any one of them.
Yeah, it was
Together.
Flash. It was Flash. It was Theodore. And then there was Stevie Steve, like and that was only because of the reputations at the time, but and the notoriety, because Flash and Theodore, they were out there the most. You know, they had the systems and they had the venues. Flash had the Dixie Club, Theodore had 63 Park locked down. But Steve, he just didn't have. Again, he didn't have that podium, that podium. He just didn't
Yeah,
have it, you know. But he was good, man. Steve was good. Like Brian, like Khalif said earlier, the brother would take 45s and spin on the 45, not on the like a lot of DJs would take the 45s and glue them to the albums so that they
Mm,
could spin from the album.
right.
Steve would actually spin the 45s
Mm,
themselves without the album, without
on the felt
nothing,
without the album,
on the felt,
mm.
on the felt, you
without the
know. Yeah, yeah. So Steve and I'm surprised he's not on today because I would love to hear what he had to say
yeah.
because
I told him to
Steve
get
was just
on.
good.
I told him
Yeah,
to get on.
yeah. But Steve was good, man. He was definitely good.
Well, we could always have a part two if you guys want at some
But
point.
that would be great, man.
Yeah, if you
Because
want, no
then I can try
problem.
to get the rest of these dudes involved in it. You know what I'm saying?
Certainly, a lot. I would love to hear more of it. Check. My brother Jamar Will. This is his quite. This is a statement, I should say. Graffiti doesn't make it into hip hop until Phase 2 and Riff usher it into the culture. What do you say about that?
Hmm. There might be some truth.
Phase two,
Phase 2 used
and
to do our flyers fast, shaft. Phase 2 used to
yeah,
do our flyers, and then once a little one. I think we did a few of them with Buddy Esquire. Not too sure, but I think we did a couple with Buddy Esquire. But
yeah. But Phase two was big with those. Phase two was big. He was like that guy with the graffiti. You saw that name everywhere, man.
yeah,
Mm,
I
yeah.
don't know. I can't speak on the part that they played per se, but I can say for fact that they were big in the graffiti game. I don't know how
okay.
they if they if or it, how much or if they played any part at period in getting it into the hip hop culture, but they were notables. They were
I
definitely notables.
I actually talked to this brother. I know who this brother is, and he basically was telling me that when graffiti became a part of the elements, it was in reference to that, like Phase 2 and Riff 77. I think that's his name. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but it was about the flyers and the graffiti writing on the flyers that made it a part of hip hop, not necessarily the what do you call it, the tagging of trains and things of that
Mm,
nature.
mm,
That's what I was told by this brother. So this is how graffiti. He told me how it factored in as an element because everything has to be related to the music in order for it to be part of hip hop.
right.
Graffiti by itself is not hip hop.
No.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
I agree.
So it
I
has to
agree.
be related to the music in order for. And this is where Phase
No,
2
I agree,
and
Black
Riff come
Unity.
through.
Black
And
Yeah, I
Unity.
agree with that. I agree with that. I
The word
definitely
hip
agree with that.
does come from jazz. Not to cut y'all off. The word of
okay,
Black Unity, the word hip does come from jazz, and it meant
right.
being cool. It meant being cool. Yeah, I would agree with that statement. I'm just reading the questions. Truth.
Right.
Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong.
If you see a question you want to answer, you go ahead because sometimes I can't catch all of them sometimes. So
Yeah.
if you see something that you want to take a shot at, go ahead and do it. And I'll try to find it and put it up for people, you know. So trying to look for anything else here
You know,
for as far as a question here. Question, can you bring some more? Okay. They said, can you? I'm working on it. And I'm hoping uh DJ Shaft and DJ Khalif, if you know any others, like you said, we're gonna do a part two. And brothers from the who was part of the Magnificent Seven and maybe other people who weren't part of Magnificent Seven but were there. I just want to know from people who was there.
Right.
You know, we could have a conversation. We could do a part 2. No problem. So to answer your question, I'm definitely working on it and hope to have more people who were there to talk about this history, because it's important to get it right.
Right. Yeah. See, that was my whole purpose. You know, when I do these interviews, it's my purpose is to put that truth out there, because it kind of gets a little distorted. And I just, you know, and there's, you know, just kind of put some clarity on it, man. You know, and I don't know why people want to me. I did this, I did that, and all that. I don't really, you know, but I mean, you know, because we weren't the only one. Like, listen, this is the crazy thing, right? We weren't the only ones there. Like, okay, the DJs and the MCs, I'm saying, right? The crowd was there. So they witnessed this too. You understand what I'm saying? So when people come and they start saying all these different things, let me tell you, a lot of the crowds, because people used to go from party to party to party. They'll come to a Stevie Steve party, then go to a flash party next week, and then go to a breakout party the week after that, and then may go to a band party the week after that. You understand what I'm saying? So they got around too, and they seen things, and they know things, and they know these stories too. So when people come up and they try to distort things and not tell them exactly the way that they really were, you know what I mean? It kind of just, you know, the truth needs to be told. It needs to be, you know, and I'm not trying to denigrate anybody.
Right. You're just trying to tell the truth. That's it.
I just be like, yo, that's not true. That's not the way this was. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. This question is to me, but you guys can speak to it more so than I can, because this is a New York question, basically. It says, question, True Savior, have you ever seen the movie Aaron Loves Angela from the 1975 Irene Cara, Kevin Hooks movie? It highlights the racial tensions of that time, and he says like Latino instead of Latino. Okay, try to be respectful. Latinos run from that. Okay, so basically, have you guys seen that movie by any chance?
Negative.
I might have seen it or not.
1975.
Yeah, the movie with Irene Cara. I think I might have saw that. But it was, yeah, I don't remember. It was a long time. Is that the movie where she showed her titties?
I don't have no clue about that.
No. There was this. Somebody else came on. No, there was a movie where she showed it. She took up. She was the dude was a film director, right? And he said that she had to, you know, he wanted her to take her bra off to be in the movie. She took her bra off and she showed her titties in the movie. Whoever asked the question, asked them, is that movie that where she did that? Because I think that's the movie that he's talking about. I remember the movie because she showed her titty, but I mean, you know, I'm just saying. But that's the movie. I'm gonna get in trouble for saying that too. But you know,
right. Let's try to keep it as clean as possible. So check this out. Let me. Donna. Can you cam up by any chance? Can you cam up? Let me find you. Hold up. Let me see. Let's see. One second. Donna.
Yes.
How you doing?
My sister.
Yes.
Oh, that's who.
Yeah, I'm just here to support my brother.
Oh, okay. All right. How you doing, sis?
I'm doing well.
Okay. Nice to meet you. Okay.
Nice to meet you as well.
Okay. All right. So let me I'm gonna close you, not take you totally out, but I'm gonna make it more accessible for everybody to see. Okay, you're still there, but I'm just gonna check. Okay, now let me see any more questions. Let me go back to the chat. Let me see if there are any more questions. And like I said,
that was fame. Laugh out loud. You're good, sir. I do remember it though.
Yeah, let me see. Rebellious question. Okay, here's another one. Wait. Oh, where is that? Oh shoot. No, that's not the one. Hold up. Question. Let's see. Question. Can you, brother, bring on some more? Okay, I think we did with that. Pioneer. We did that one already.
All right, yeah.
Let me see.
Someone said it's nothing wrong with being a guest, and some shake my head. We hurt over it, but we would be guess in other people's cultures,
Right.
too, if we were tried to be in someone else's culture. Yeah, but we're not saying. See, I also said that we welcomed other people into this. We welcomed them into it. My only problem is people tried to hijack it. That was my issue. My issue, because we were very generous, like you said, Truth. We were very generous. We invited them in, but that's the operative word. We invited them in.
Right.
But like I said, they were always in the Bronx. They were always there. They were in
Right.
the
Right.
Bronx.
No one is saying that they weren't there.
Yeah,
No one is saying because
but they weren't a part of this. We invited them in. You know, like the Cass, DJ Casanova Fly, hooking up with DJ Wiz, who's a Hispanic brother, right? And then Ruby D and Whip a Whip. You know what I mean? Getting down with the Fantastic Romantic. You know what I mean? You know that you know nobody had a problem with that. Nobody had a problem with that. We were very welcoming. What I had a problem with was when somebody said, "Oh, we created it 50-50." And then people sitting there. I'm not gonna mention the brother's name, but you know who I'm talking about.
Right.
Sitting there trying to just misappropriate the whole thing and just try to just wipe us out of the whole thing. You know, that kind of shit right there. No, that no, we're not gonna do that.
Let me deal with this. Let me deal with this question or statement, and I already dealt with it, but sometimes you have to hammer it home because people are dense in the head. Are Latinos guessing hip hop despite making contributions and maintaining break dancing for the last 30 years or more? Now here's the deal. You have to be honest about the history. As far as I'm speaking to Shamir, let's just be honest. You have to first acknowledge where the culture comes from, where all the elements stem from. You have to be honest about that. No one is taking anything from Latinos. I personally never said Latinos weren't there. I personally never said that. But you have to acknowledge that none of the things in the foundation of this culture comes from Nuyorican culture, Puerto Rican culture, Dominican culture, Cuban culture. You have to be honest about that. And so when we're talking about the origins and the foundation of the culture, you have to be honest and say, okay, it does come from Black American culture. Even though Puerto Ricans played a role in elevating the culture or enhancing it in some ways. We're not taking anything from you, but you gotta be honest and stop saying, oh, it's a street culture. It has nothing to do with Black American culture, because that is disrespectful.
Yeah,
it's disrespectful.
Very much so.
And so I just want Latinos to understand there's no hate here. Just be honest about the history. Stop trying to take from what we contributed or what we brought to this culture. In case you don't know it, Black American culture is the culture. Not only in America, it's the culture among the whole world.
Exactly.
You can't get away from that fact.
So, and you know what else, Truth? Not to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I mean, and we kind of tired of people doing this because they did it with rock and roll. They did it with country music. They continually take. We create stuff, right? And they take. And they just take and take and take. We're tired of people taking. So all we're doing now is we're gatekeeping our culture. We're gatekeeping our stuff. We're not going to let you take hip hop. Everybody knows we created. We're not going to let you do that with hip hop. We just put our foot down. And for some reason, everybody seems to have a problem with that. Because now we're putting our foot down. We're saying no more. You know, no more. We're not going to. We're not doing this anymore. You're not going to just create our culture and just take it.
I went to make some coffee.
You know?
Yeah, I hear you. Let me see a few more questions. How are you with time, Khalif?
Hey, I'm good. I don't work tonight, so I'm good. It's Sunday night.
You're good. Okay.
They're saying something about a guy named Green Eye Genie. Has a lot of documents and flyers to make his case about Herc. It's from Patrick Young. Make his case about Herc intentionally leaving out himself and Disco King Mario. Can you get that, brother?
Green Eye Genie, I guess.
Yeah, Green Eye Genie. Patrick Young. Question.
Yeah, okay.
Green Eye Genie Stanley. Green Eye Stanley.
Stanley, talking about Stanley,
flyers to make his case about Herc intentionally leaving out himself and Disco King Mario? I don't understand that question. Leaving out himself? What does that mean?
Well,
Like,
Green Eye Genie is going around, and like I said, I'll be the first one to say I'm not from the Bronx, so I can't speak on it, but I can only speak on what he's saying. Gene Eye Green, he say he is the creator of hip hop.
oh, okay.
That's what he's saying.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So he got a lot. He got a lot of videos out talking about laying out this history and how he was, responsible. I can't comment on it.
Yeah, well, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not even addressing that.
Yeah.
That's so. Come on, man. It's so.
Yeah.
It's not even worth addressing. I just saw that. I was wondering what the heck he was talking about. But okay, Yeah, I just was trying to check some of the questions. I know. So if the people got, they want to, last time the word was used, hip was used was before hip hop was invented. A lot of words used hip hop come from jazz. Okay, he said about the jazz thing. We know that. I mean, if you got any more questions or anything.
True? Yeah, here's one question from China Black. Did you hear about? See, this is what bothers me about. Latinos are okay. Tiny of the Black Spades made a comment that he said that 40 to 50% of the Black Spades were Latino. So I had DJ Faze come on to talk about the history that he knows, and of course he clearly says that's garbage. That's not the case at all. And so just another attempt of trying to take from our culture and try to put themselves into it, and try, because we all know that Bronx River, from what I hear, is basically like the hub of hip hop. Basically, we got Bambaataa, Mario, all those people come from that area. All the names that of hip hop are in that area. So why not try to attach yourself to the Black Spades? So this is what they're trying to do, saying that 40 to 50% of the Black Spades were Latino.
Well, Faze kind of, said it. I saw the interview. I saw both parts, and Faze kind of said it. Now, I told you earlier where I lived at, my geographical. So I was right in the middle of all that shit. Bronx River. I lived right across the street from Soundview. Classen Point houses down the block from Castle Hill. Monroe Projects was down the block and across the street. Bronxdale was across the street diagonally from Monroe Projects, and Bronx River is behind Bronxdale. So now I grew up in that. I was a baby spade. I got jumped in PS 107. You know what I mean? For what it's worth. I mean, I don't really, you know what I mean? But that whole notion, because the Black Spades was basically, from what I understand, created to protect us because there were Spanish gangs, the Savage Skulls, the Savage Nomads, and all of that. Now, I told you, I grew up on Tiffany Street my first 7 years of my life. Now, the Savage Skulls and the Savage Nomads used to base themselves on Southern Boulevard over there. There was a Kentucky Fried Chicken on Southern Boulevard where they would post up. Now, they would be over there by the Simpson Street train station, and you could not come out of that train station without paying homage. They would beg you for change. You had to get them something. You know what I'm saying? It was, if you had a dime in your pocket, they gonna beg you for some change. You know what I'm saying? Right. So there was they had the Spanish gangs, and the Black Spades was created to kind of counter. I don't know I heard Faze talking about it and how it was all created. What was the brother name? The brother Guru and them created it because one of the brothers got cut by one of the Spanish brothers and all that and everything like that there. But I just know this from my experience and me being around them, it was all blacks in the Black Spades. And the Spanish had their own gang, the Savage Skulls and the Savage Nomads. They might have had some of the Chingalings. The Savage Chingalings was up on Washington where we were at, where Steve lived. Shaft. They had a motorcycle club up there. I think it's still there to this day. They ain't a gang no more, but they're a motorcycle club now. you know. But so to my knowledge, I don't think that they were like 50% is kind of like crazy. That's that.
Right.
I mean, what I mean. I could see maybe if you had a sprinkle here and there, and I'm pushing it with that, but 50%, nah,
Right.
that's
Right.
just
Right.
ridiculous.
Right.
And that's just what I mean. What I know, I mean, I don't, because I don't even think I was a real baby spade. I mean, it was a bunch of us in the school, and they jumped me and they said we spades and shit. So I don't know if I was officially a spade or whatever, a baby spade, but I thought I was.
Okay. Let me ask Jamar Will as a question. We kind of talked about this earlier, but maybe you could talk about it again. It says, tell us about the early B-boys in your area.
Okay, I know there was one dude I know who was a famous B-boy, like Crip the B-boy, right? He I think he had one leg or something. He had crutches and he would do breakdancing on the crutches. The Shaft, you remember that dude? The Shaft still there?
Yeah, who Khalif?
Crip the B-boy.
No, I never heard of him.
He had the crutches. He was over on her side, I think, over at Cedar Park area and that. But then there's Charlie Rock. You saying that Ahmed was a breakdancer? He might have been, and I don't know.
Yeah, he was part of the Zulu Masters.
Okay, so yeah, Ahmed, I guess, and I think Powwow used to break dance.
He used to break.
Yeah.
From what I understand, he was one of the teachers who taught Zulu Kings.
Yeah,
From what I was told.
But as far as crew, now on the Flash side of town, it was Mr. Ness and Mr. Fuji. I know they were break dancers. I know that back in the days, right? Didn't Melly Mel and all them used to break dance? I know Mean Gene was a break dancer, right, Shaft?
Yeah, Gene was yeah.
So on that side of town, and Mr. Ness and Mr. Fuji, I think wasn't it dudes from the Casanovas that used to break dance too? Like
Yeah, that's who it was. The Casanova crew.
yeah, the
They used to
Casanova
break
crew.
dance.
Then it was
What year was the Casanova crew? What
Oh
year
man,
was that?
that was when Casanova crew, man. I was late 70s, man.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was Flash.
Late 70s, man. They used to be at all the Flash parties.
Yeah, that was Flash Protection. The
Yeah,
okay.
Casanova crew.
You had the Casanova crew, right? And then you had the nine lives crew. And that was the dudes from the nine. I think that's where y'all got that 09 from, Shaq. I don't know where y'all got that 09 from, but I think that's because my baby mama lived on the nine. She lived in Washington in the projects down there.
Gotcha.
And so I think that's why they were calling me Caliph 09. I think that's where it came from. But you had the Nine Lives crew down there on Webster Avenue. You know what I mean? In that area, Claremont Village, that was the Nine Lives crew. You had the Casanova crew up on Boston Road. You had the Peacemakers, right? You had the Zulu Nation. Who else you had back then? I'm talking about the big crews. You know what I mean? These were all the big crews.
I hear you. Gotcha.
Yeah, those were all the big crews. I can't think of anybody else. But yeah, that was But those were they used to protect Flash and stuff. They they were the protection. They were the bodyguards. May he rest in peace. My cousin Shotgun Rob, he was our protection for the Magnificent Seven. Him and D. Daryl. Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't Vincey Vince part of the protection too?
Yeah, Vince too. Vince.
And what's your other cousin name?
Midnight Chauncey.
Yeah, Chauncey, right? Chauncey, right?
Yeah. And they used to be our protection. So like, when we went and did parties, we had our protection. Because the Bronx used to be territorial. It's crazy though, because you had it was all geographical. Like you mentioned it earlier, you alluded to it. You had Mario and Bam and all of them over in that section. That was I would say the Soundview section of the Bronx, I would say, or I guess you would call it the Soundview section, right? Right, and then you had Breakout was uptown, right, in the Gun Hill section. Flash was the Boston Road section, and we were part of the Boston Road section too, right? And so Breakout, Flash, Bam and Mario, and Herc was on the west side. So and Herc pretty much had the west side sewn up. He pretty much had the west side of the Bronx sewn up. You know what I mean, over that area. Cedar Park, 82, and all those. Yo, Shaft, what was the name of that club on Mount Eaton that we used to DJ in? Right when you get off the train and you right there at Mount Eaton.
Executive Playhouse.
Oh,
Executive Playhouse. It was right next to the Sparkle.
Okay, so the
It
Sparkle.
was Executive Playhouse.
Okay.
That was Herc's club. Herc used to
that was
DJ
Herc. That was
there.
Herc's
Yeah,
spot. But we
that was
used
Executive
to
Playhouse.
rock in there. We used to rock in there.
Yeah, but that was Herc's spot though. He was the mainstay there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had the Sparkle right next door.
Yeah.
That's where Big Peg Hank was a doorman there.
Okay.
At Sparkle. Big Bag Hank used to search us when we used to go in and all of that. That was it. Executive Playhouse.
Didn't Herc used to like DJ in like a roller skating rink not too far from there though too? On McCormick?
Around the corner.
Yeah.
Around the corner. Skate Fever.
Yeah. He used
Skate.
to be
The owners of Disco Fever. The owners of Disco Fever opened up. Sal, that was his name.
Oh yeah, Sal.
He opened up a skating ring around the corner. Yeah, he opened up a skating ring around the corner. What baby?
Yeah, and Herc used to DJ in there. I remember that. So now I know you heard about the little statement that was made. You know, not to denigrate nobody. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just talking true facts. I told you I'll come up here and I tell truths, right? So now, DJ Hollywood. I was alluding to it earlier when you mentioned Hollywood.
Right.
Okay. So now, you know, back in the days, there was a club on between Webster and Teller Avenue.
371.
Yeah, Club 371.
Right.
And Hollywood was the DJ there, the house DJ.
Yeah,
right?
Hollywood, yeah.
What happened was the rumor is that dudes tried to go up in there. I think it was Melly Mellon, all of them dudes that tried to go up in there, and Hollywood made the statement, y'all ain't bringing that shit up in here. Take that shit back to the schoolyard. I don't know if you heard about that.
I heard about it. Yes,
yeah. And so now, you know, everybody wants to be associated with hip hop now because hip hop is hot now. Just saying.
Right. That's true. We have a question. Who was the Mercedes ladies?
Okay, that's Renee Smiley and them. Renee Smiley and them. They used
that
to
was
DJ.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, they used to DJ in 63 Park too, like us.
Right.
Yeah. The Mercedes ladies. They was all females, MCs and DJs. Yeah. All female MCs and DJs. Yeah.
It was them, Sequence. Actually, they were the only two major groups. Sequence was God Bless the Dead, Angie Stone, and the other two girls.
Yeah, Blondie and Shirley Pearl.
Yeah, Blondie and Shirley Pearl, right.
Yeah, Angie Stone, may she rest in peace. Like she used to be Angie B, right?
Right.
She was married to Rodney C. They have a daughter together. So Rodney C's last name is Stone. So then she took the name Stone, and that's why
she kept the last name.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, we all me, Rodney, Angie, we used to all sleep in the same bed, the same room, over in Rodney's house, man, growing up. You know, God bless her dead, his mother, Miss Hazel, and all of us. He had a brother named Perry that passed.
Yeah, Perry, yeah.
And our sister named Liz.
Yo.
But Angie, we saw when Rodney first met Angie, he was messing with this girl named Antoinette around the corner. Remember Antoinette, Khalif, that Rodney used to mess with?
Yeah.
And we saw her stay up in Rodney's rooms, sleep in the same bed, man. I used to stay in the basement, and there's a little flood in the basement.
When they were staying with Steve too. When they were staying with Steve for a while. But yo, you remember Perry had that club, the Rock City or whatever it was?
No, I never knew Perry had a club. No, I didn't know about that.
We played down there. You know what's crazy about this? You're gonna love this. We down there playing one day. It was a little hole in the wall, a little basement, right? Over on Prospect Avenue. Prospect and Oh man. But
You talking
anyway,
about the Hebrew?
no. It was in the little basement, down in the basement. You go down these
Oh,
steps, go around in the alley, and then you go in the basement. So now check this
okay.
out. One day we down there rocking, right? We down there, we rocking. I don't know. He must have heard the music, right? Next thing you know, that they come to us. They say, "Yo, man, Melly Mel is at the door." So we like, "Yo, so let him in." So Mel came in, and Mel started rocking on the mic. You know what I'm saying? When we was in the Rock City, yeah, man. And I think Mel rocked at a couple of our parties. If I'm not,
Yeah.
yeah,
But who's Debbie D and Wanda D? They said it's a comment here said you
yeah,
also
Debbie
had
D,
Debbie D and Wanda D. Who were they?
yeah, they were the Us Girls, the Us Girls.
Oh, hey
Yeah,
Khalif.
you showed them the pictures, truth, the picture
Yeah,
with me and Debbie D.
yeah. You want me to show it again?
Yeah, show it to them.
Yeah, I never seen him.
Okay, let me get it right quick. Let me find it.
Yeah,
Okay.
they were the Us Girls. And I don't know if you remember. You remember the movie Beat Street?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
now it was Debbie D. What was her name? Wanda B, right? And Rock. They were the Us Girls. And if you look at the movie Beat
Yeah,
Street,
okay.
it's them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was them. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Let's see. All right, here go the picture
Yeah,
of
that's
Debbie
Debbie D
D.
right there. Me and Debbie D.
Oh, you showed that earlier. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't up on them.
yeah. They was in Beat Street. She was an MC. She was they were like they was a duo. Her and Wanda B. They were the first female duo or something like that. They say they are the first dual female dual thing. But we know Rock was the first female, period. The first one I ever heard of or saw doing that on the mic. You know what I mean?
Mm. Mm.
So
All right. Well, check this out. Let's call this a end of part one. We're gonna do a part two.
okay.
At some point, we'll set up a date and we'll try to do something. And maybe you get other members of your crew who
Mhm.
possibly want to participate,
Yeah.
and we could chop it up again. On some other detail. DJ Shaft, I appreciate you stopping in and
All right, brother. Truth. I appreciate you providing the platform.
thank
Yeah, that's big in today's culture, particularly for the old school.
right.
We're becoming an extinct bunch. You know what I mean? And those that proceed from us, or actually are existed with us, they moving forward and they not looking back. They're not thinking,
Right.
hey, let's get a little platform for those that helped us, get to where we are now. To help build this thing, so they
Hmm.
can have a little platform.
Right.
Right.
So
Right.
again, brother, I definitely commend you for that.
Well,
Yeah,
appreciate you. Appreciate you.
definitely.
Uh-huh.
Appreciate you.
The U.S.
Did-
girls were Lisa Lee, Shaw, and Deb. I forgot about Lisa Lee. She was with you, Khalif, over with Bam and them, right?
Yeah, she was at one point. Yeah.
Lisa Lee, she was an MC with Bam. Yeah,
Yeah, at one point, yeah, she was. And then there
yeah,
was
man.
Queen Kenya, who was Pepsi, may she rest in peace. She used to
Mm-hmm.
be MC for Bam too at one time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
The dude Paul
Again, brother.
Roberts, he made
Huh?
a statement. The dude Paul Roberts, yeah, that's a true statement. Paul Roberts. He said that I heard New York City Puerto Ricans claim PR 70s DJs and clubs that were more disco than funk as hip hop were. There are many Were there many 70s New York City Puerto Ricans more into disco like Saturday Night Fever? Yes, as a matter of fact, they were. Because
Hell yeah.
only time they would ever, if they did sprinkle into the party, they would come in when we put on a hustle record. They would come in
Yeah.
and then they would leave after we
Yeah.
took that record
Yeah.
off. And it
You
was
Yeah.
only them that sprinkled in and to do that. That was
you
it.
Yeah. They thing was that why did you change on me? Your love was so easy to see. That was their type of stuff.
I'll check this out. I think you touched on this before, DJ Khalif. The comment is mention the Mag 7 reunion.
Okay, yeah, I mentioned the reunion. We had a soft reunion. What was it, 2 years ago, Shaft?
Yeah. Two
Took
summers.
43
Two
years for me
summers.
to get all of us together at the same place and at the same time. Because the last picture we took, you wasn't in it. You was locked up or something, I think.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So so it and between that picture and the time we had this reunion, it took like 43 years for all 8 of us to be in the same place at the same
Why
time.
you didn't get it, brother? None of the pics, Khalif.
I did give him the pics.
Oh, he
Yeah,
I
did.
didn't give
Okay, he
him
did.
one.
yeah.
I didn't give him the other ones. I thought he had the other ones, but I'll send them to you, Truth. You could do them in
Okay.
part 2.
Okay.
Hey, I
All
see
right.
you got your M7 shirt on too,
You
Khalif.
better believe it, baby. The
Yeah,
Magnificent
we had those. We had those at the reunion. You know, we all had those on. Yeah, yeah.
We're gonna be selling these when we do the Magnificent 7th day. It's gonna be on August 23rd.
Okay.
Between Prospect and Chisholm up in the Bronx from 1 to 7. Come
Okay.
through, man. Come through and
I'm gonna come
experience some
through.
of this old school.
I'm gonna
Come
come
through and
through.
experience that.
I'm gonna come through for sure. For sure.
Oh man. Okay.
All right.
I'm
All
telling
right.
you to the listeners.
Okay.
It's a free party. Just come through and have a good time. You're gonna listen to some good music, some old school dudes, man, doing their thing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
This is
Sounds like,
hip hop. I mean, it ain't even really hip hop. It's jamming. You know what I
right.
mean? We
Right.
jam.
I hear you. I hear you.
You know
I
what I'm
want to
saying?
say thank you, chat. Chat was busy today, and I appreciate y'all having this back and forth with each other and putting the questions out. I want to first again thank DJ Khalif, thank DJ Shaft for taking some time for me to do this thing because
Nah, it's
they
an honor, brother. It's
they
an honor.
recognize that this is important, and we need to make sure that our culture is always protected and honored, you know, and that's what
gatekeep.
I'm all about. And gatekeep. That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
So again, brothers, thank you so much. Until the next time, we're gonna do part 2. Now,
right.
for those who are listening for the first time, thumb up the video, share this information. If you're not already subscribed, definitely hit that subscribe button. We got tremendous information before you come in real soon. Wednesday, I'm going to have Minnesota Money Boss on. We're going to do another interview with him. So stay tuned for that one as well. So until the next time, peace out.